Hey, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. We are here. Tuesday. It's a great day already. Getting Miss Simone up in here. Hey, Miss Simone. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing?
I feel great. How about you guys?
Man, good. Can't complain that. Oh, good morning, Cam.
Good morning, Cam.
We here.
I know. How are you feeling, Miss Jody?
Hi.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain at all. I'm blessed for real. And I get to wipe down the iPad and give it away.
Hey, I was like, we're talking about an iPad. I'm like, did I miss something?
Yeah, you know the iPad challenge. Oh, you know what? No, because that happened on Miss Caitlin's session.
Okay, that's
The
why. Can you
iPad
tell us
challenge.
about the iPad?
Yeah, it was easy. It was easy. So Miss Caitlin, she got the academic session right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's liven this up just a little bit. Everybody left me hanging yesterday. Told me y'all was going to help with the academic. Yeah, I can do algebra. Yeah, I can do fractions. All this, and then here come Elder. She can only add and subtract. So I'm like, no, we not doing that.
You can
But
only add it. It's so
yeah,
crazy.
man, they left me hanging because Miss Caitlin got stuck like the first 30 minutes. So, I don't know nothing about academics. So I'm just stalling. Like somebody jump on here, wasn't nobody jumping on here. So what we do? We give away an iPad. So I said, yo, all you gotta do to be eligible to win the iPad is you just gotta make a post, tag HeartSmiles. What do you like about success sessions? That's
Oh,
it.
I love that.
That's it. That's it. And I cut it off at midnight, but I didn't announce it anywhere else. So unless you was on that success session, you missed
Oh,
it. Yeah, yeah. So that's how that went. So
okay.
I'm gonna wipe this baby off, y'all see, and this ain't even the great value one. This is the Clorox one. We're gonna wipe this baby off, wipe the charger off, and
Why do you have to be so funny all the time?
what? I'm dead serious.
This is
Bam.
value. That is beautiful. Is this brand new?
No, let me not lie. And
Okay,
I said that yesterday too. It's not brand new. It is used. It is used, but it's in great condition. The only thing that's wrong with it is that like physically the home button don't work, but the home button on the actual screen works. So
okay.
like that's like the only thing. So you would just use it like you use your phone. You don't have a physical button to use. You just got to use the button on the screen. But other than that, it's perfect. Like,
That is so nice, Mitchell. You're making this quarantine feel like Christmas.
man,
All these
listen,
goodies, iPad. What
yo,
about the
but
mental?
But here's the lesson though. Here's the lesson in all that, yo. When you snooze, you lose. You gotta at least show up for the blessing. The blessing's gonna pass you. You gotta at least show up for the blessing.
I know. Y'all, please don't let it pass you by.
So
Okay. Whatever you gotta do, ask the people, watch a playback, do what you need to do to get this. Cause this is
man,
awesome.
something, man, we giving away more money than people making on a regular job. It don't get no
Yeah.
easier than that.
Oh
It don't
man.
get no easier than that. It's a blessing though. Oh, I see y'all here this morning. Good morning, Nera. Good morning, Hardcore. Good morning, Q. Okay, she came. She came. Good morning, James. Good morning, Lamar. Don't come for Elder. Christmas in April. They said 400 deaths since yesterday morning. Oh, man.
Oh, from Corona or any, it
Oh,
doesn't matter. That's just not a
I
good number.
know. It's just ridiculous. I don't, yeah, that's sad, man. That's sad. That's even more reason to live. Like, don't take your life and your blessings for granted. That's even more reason to live because some people aren't able to.
Exactly. We're gonna live for them. I
Man,
Well, are y'all
What we
ready?
doing today, Miss Simone? We're gonna do Miss Simone lesson, and then after Miss Simone, before Mr. Todd get on, we're gonna give away this iPad. I'm gonna wipe it down, y'all. I'm gonna wipe it down.
Oh my God. Don't get the people if they didn't know for the giveaway. Okay. But today we are going to talk about something that has been on my heart that I feel like will be helpful to everybody in one season of your life or another. And the title is How to Pick and Choose Your Battles. Because I feel like this is really good. Times are a little tense in the house with everybody, or just in general in life. It could be in your relationships or at work or with your parents and your family. And like, how do I really decide what I'm going to spend my time on, my energy on, so that I can continue to move forward and grow? So, I have a little PowerPoint for you guys.
Yeah, we love your PowerPoints. Hey, hey, Joy, good morning.
Oh, so I want y'all to really, because look, this is just my take on it, but I want what's going to be helpful to you guys. So please comment. Tell me if you feel like this, relates. This can make sense. Can you see the whole thing, or is my like screen in the way?
No, we can see the whole thing.
Okay.
This thing is nice. I
All right.
love them colors, though.
I feel like this was not, I'm like, okay, let me see what PowerPoint has for us today. A little heart smile. Okay. But it's called How to Pick and Choose Your Battles. So again, like I said, y'all comment, tell me what you think. We can use personal examples and stories, questions that you might have had when you were like, I don't know if this is worth my time. We could just do it all. All right, so next. Okay. So, the quote yesterday really went over well. So I was like, let me find another quote that we can reflect on and really figure out, what are we bringing to the table? What are we talking about today? So it says, choose your battles wisely. After all, life isn't measured by how many times you stood up to fight. It's not winning battles that makes you happy, but it's how many times you turned away and chose to look in a better direction. Life is too short to spend it all the time on warring and fighting. Fight only the most important ones and let the rest go. So when I reflect on that, the thing that stuck out to me the most is like life really is too short. Like we have a very limited time on this earth when you look at the grand scheme of things. So when you look back on your life, will you feel proud that like I fought all these battles and I made my point and I won and I won? Or do you want to look back and be like, I stood up for what I really believed in, what I thought was right, and then I spent the rest of my time enjoying, laughing, living, breathing, giving back to people, those kinds of things. So I really like that quote.
Love it.
All right. So what does this mean and why should you even care? What does choosing your battles mean? Choosing your battle means to be selective of the problems, arguments, or confrontations that you get involved in. And it's kind of self-explanatory, but I feel like just having the definition, and I like this because I feel like a lot of the times it's like, if you walk away, like you look like a punk or whatever, but choosing your battles just means that you're selective, just like how you're selective with the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the friends you have. You're also going to be selective about what you choose to talk about, breathe about, spend your time on. So don't think of it as like something that's, just you're just being all flaky and whatever, and you don't want to stand up for yourself. You're just really choosing to focus your time and your energy, which brings me to the friends you had. Mm-hmm. So if you focus your time and be selective, it helps you to remember that time is limited. And I feel like this has been helping me in the season of life, just understanding that everything is a trade-off. So instead of like, when you're thinking about, like why, if I'm going to choose my time to focus on this, it's time that you're taking away essentially from something else. So the time you could be focusing on spending time with your family, loved ones, friends that you actually care about, now you're spending time arguing with people that get on your nerves that you don't care about. And when I took that perspective, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, what the heck? You're robbing my time. You were stealing my joy and I'm letting you do it. What the actual? Like when you really step back and think about it, you are really giving them time. So think of it as a trade-off. Instead of giving you this time and energy that you don't deserve, which is why I'm irritated with you in the first place, and I feel like it's a battle, I'm going to focus my energy on people and things that I love. And so then the second part is just being strategic, because I don't want you guys to think that like you don't have to speak up, because it is important. There are things that, you know, you should stand up for. But think about it more as like being strategic and selective with those things, because it's just going to make you stronger and you know, just more like confident when you do speak up, because you like really know what you're talking about. And it's kind of this like quality versus quantity thing that we're always talking about, you know, like they say the people who sit back and listen, when they speak up, you're like, oh my God, they have something to say. Let me actually listen, because they're not just choosing to talk about any and everything. When they speak, it's quality coming out of their mouth. So I really want y'all to think about that too when you're picking and choosing your battles. It's not even about you're always walking away. You're just being strategic and you're thinking about the quality of your words, the quality of the stuff that you choose to speak up on. And it's kind of like making yourself that, you know, the whole reason we kind of like are really excited about celebrities is because we don't have access to them all the time. So don't be giving people access to your thoughts, your mind, your power, your words. Use it on something that's intentional and good. All right. Do y'all have anything in the comments? Anything you feel like this makes sense?
Well, they agreeing so far in the comments, but definitely if y'all got questions and stuff, comments, for real, let us know. I'm making notes right now, so I'm taking it all in right now. Like, this is good stuff, Miss Simone.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, me too. This is a ever learning, growing thing. So we're learning together. All right.
Yeah, and they loving the visual too. Like Nira is saying that reading it too is very helpful.
Yeah, no, I'm the kind, I need to hear it, read it, and then I can like, if I take some notes too, then I got you. I'm like, let's go. So yes. Okay. So how do you decide if it's worth it? The first thing, and you guys know I love an article, so I was doing some research to make sure. So this came from Forbes. Please don't take us to jail. This is Forbes. They suggested this and I added my Simone twist on it. But I love this one. It says, is this my battle to fight? Y'all, this, don't be out here fighting other people's battles. And I'm going to give a little personal example that's going to embarrass me, but it's fine. And I feel like maybe this stuck out to me because I had an example of this. I remember I was in kindergarten and it was me and my best girl, Raven Simone. You get, okay, but yeah. Her name was Raven. And I was Simone. We were thick as thieves, okay? So it was us two. We were outside on the playground. This is, you know, I'm a military child, so I lived in Louisiana. It was hot outside. We used to love to go outside in the summer, play, blah, blah, blah. So there was these group of boys that always used to mess with Raven and I a little bit. But, you know, I think it's because they liked us. We didn't know. But like one day it just went too far. And Raven was like, oh my gosh, and she was crying. So myself, I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell these people how I feel. I'm like, you need to leave Raven alone. Don't talk to her like this. Like they were really, really mean to her. So then I look around, I'm like, right, Raven? I turn around and Raven is gone on the blacktop talking to other people. These boys take my little pink tail, pull me down to the ground. I'm just looking broke, busted, disgusted, pretty much beat me up. Okay. I'm walking up to the blacktop looking crazy, one ponytail up here, one ponytail down here, crying to the teacher. Why? Because I'm focused on somebody else's business and Raven is nowhere to be found. And that was the first lesson my mom was, I understand you can be a good friend, but that doesn't mean you have to be in people's stuff. Unless someone's putting their hands on you, doing stuff focused to you, you do not need to be involved because people will leave you high and dry. And again, wasting my time focused on the wrong things. I had to learn at a kindergarten age. But I know sometimes it's easier said than done because, like I said, I thought we were thick as thieves. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way, but don't make the same mistake again. If people show you who they are once, believe them. Do not fight battles that are not yours. Okay. The second question to ask is what difference will this make in the long term? You know, like try to be forward thinking. Like if I'm going to really speak up for this, is this going to help me in my future career? Is this going to help next generations to come? Is this going to help the people that I want to serve? Is this going to get me to where I need to be? So another kind of personal example. So you guys know, like I want to do research, be a professor, and really make sure that research institutions are serving the communities that they say they want to serve, and we're doing partnerships, right? So another part of that is you have to like publish research articles and papers because that kind of is like your portfolio of your work. So I had been working on this paper, on this project, and then one of my colleagues wrote a paper, and she wasn't putting my name on the paper, but she was using some of my stuff, and I was like, hold on. This cannot fly. And like half of me was like, Simone, it's not all about papers. Y'all know I don't care. I'm like, I'm about the action, the people, and the results. But at the same time, I'm like, I know what my long-term goal is. And if I want to be like a quality researcher, professor, people will like take my stuff seriously, and like my community partners that I'm working with seriously, like I have to create a portfolio for myself. So I stepped back, I breathe. I was like, I think this is something that I actually need to stand up for because this is my work. I have evidence to show that like I really did this. And I know in the long term, like that one paper, if it's published and like the results of it are like groundbreaking, like that's stuff and opportunities that I might miss. So I stood up for that. I sent the email, we talked about it, and my name is on the paper now. So I'm like, okay, that was a good battle to choose because in the long term, that's going to be my portfolio, my resume of my work and the people that I want to serve and all the things that I like talk about and speak up for. So it goes right to the next one. Does this align with my goals and values? You know, don't be someone who's talking all this stuff and preaching it. And then as soon as you turn away or someone else turns away, you're gone. And now you're just doing whatever. If you say that you have these goals and you have these values, stick by them no matter who you're with, where you are, because that will also help to like just ground you and like, is this really worth my time? I'm not saying I'm a leader and then hanging around chickens when I'm an ego and I'm supposed to be flying. Okay. Does this align with my goals?
Yeah, I
And,
like
you know,
that. Hanging around chickens when you an eagle. There's a lot of
it's
chickens
supposed to
right
be,
now. Yeah.
you are an eagle. You are made to soar, and you're hanging around with these people who can only walk around and eat food off the bottom. We are soaring. Okay. Whew. Don't get me to preaching. But what will I lose if I spend time on this? Again, like I said, everything in life is a trade-off. If you spend time focusing on this, that's time you're losing doing something else. So if you're going to lose time on something, let it be worth your time, okay? Let it be worth your long-term goal. Like I said, impacting other people, um, aligned with your goals and values. And then the hardest question, this is because whether or not you choose your battle or not, say you let it go or you do want to like actually stick up for yourself and like, you know, make your point, you have to be okay no matter what. Will I be able to move forward regardless of what the outcome is? And I think that's important too, because at the end of the day, we can't change anybody. The only thing we can do is better ourselves. So really just making sure like, you know, no matter what, at least I did the work to process how I was feeling, why this was important to me. And no matter what, I know what I stand for and what I stand by and what my purpose is. So even if I don't win this battle or if I do win this battle, I'm still going to be who I am regardless. So those are some questions you can ask to help you decide. Okay, so if you do choose to stick up for the battle, these are some tips to help you to kind of go into it with a level mind, you know, just not being all hot headed. Again, it's strategic and selective. So these are some of your tips that will help you kind of make that plan to be strategic and selective. So the first thing is to evaluate the problem and really try to find someone who's non-biased, because I know when you're heated you want to hear somebody who's just going to let you vent, but you really want a non-biased trusted source, because sometimes we're so too close in it we can't like get ourselves out. We need the bigger picture, you know, like that kind of helps you, like you said, decide, is this even worth my time? And like, okay, maybe if I spend a little bit of time evaluating it now with someone who's actually going to give me good advice, that will save me time later. Just talking to the same 5 people about it, you go from this friend talking about it to this friend talking about it to this friend talking about it, you're still wasting time. And we want to be strategic with our time. So it does you no good to just go to somebody that you know is going to say what you want to hear. You have to, like, guys, this is really for you. It's not for anybody else. You lying to yourself and trying to create the story for what you want it to be serves you no purpose. This is about going forward and being the eagle that you are and only speaking up on things that are important. So like I said, really try to evaluate the problem. And even if you feel like you can't find a trusted person or source that you can really bounce it off and get your ideas out with, so you're not too close in it, you can even do it personally. And like I said, like the best way to kind of like do that self-reflection is to really write down or think or say it out loud. Either write it down or say it out loud. Because when you're in your head, it could just be all in there. So I really think it's better to talk it out, write it down, everything that happened. And then I always say, really reflect on what you might have done in the situation, you know, good and bad. Be really very real with yourself about the things that you, the role you played in the situation. Then do the same thing for the other person. What are the things that are making you mad? How do you feel like you got there? And then you reflect on both and you really take the main points, like really say, what is the main thing that's really irking me? You know, that like, even out of all these points, what is the main thing like that I feel like is keeping me up at night? And then that's what you focus on when you go into the conversation, or that's what you focus on when you reflect, like, can I really let this go? I think I can. And then you just remember that, because there's all these other distractions, all these things that can come in the way, but you just need to focus on the thing that's really getting under your skin and try to address that first. And then when you do talk to somebody, you want to seek to understand and listen. I know, God, it's so hard. Like, even I catch myself doing this all the time. When someone speaks, you just want to be ready. Like, I already know, like, this is what I do. But I learned so much more now. Like, it's so much better to listen because it gives you more power, because you're able to see someone's thought process of how they even got there in the first place. And that's another key too, to help you stop wasting time. If someone is just talking out of their butt and it's not even making sense, why are you spending time even arguing? Then you can just chalk it to the end and be like, you know what? You're not even making any sense. Da, da, da. Instead of me just trying to have a response to everything you're saying, by you listening and reflect, you can see that there's no logical pattern. It's all foolishness. Bye. But let's say it really is somebody that, like, you know, has a clear, absolutely cut them off. You got to go. And then it helps you to better process and understand, because, like, you know, closure is a real thing. So sometimes for people who like closure, if you can listen, that is something that reminds you that, like, when you might want to talk to that person or something, it helps you to cut them out, because you remember, oh yeah, no, this is exactly why, because you had time to listen and process why it's not even worth your time, instead of just going back and forth and the conversation is over and all you can think about is, oh man, I should have said that, I should have said that, I should have said, and that's because you weren't listening during the conversation. But another thing too, if it's someone who's really important to you, or a job that's important or something, you do really want to see like what their thought process was, because not only does that help you build a stronger case in an argument, but um, like I said, it just helps you to see where they come from. If this is a long lasting relationship, it's not always about winning. It's about trying to understand and listen to people. And when you do that to others, I feel like it helps them to do that to you. It kind of disarms people when you're not combative. If someone's yelling and you're just listening, then what are they, after a while, they're going to get tired of yelling. So that kind of helps to disarm the situation too. Okay, y'all, this one is key. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Okay? Tone is everything. Body language, you know, just like really being real with yourself and present about how you're coming to the space and talking about what you want to say. Because I realize sometimes, like, you might not even want to offend somebody, and you can't live your life and always trying to make sure other people are okay and come. But if you can, if your intention really is not to like harm somebody or hurt somebody, then really do your best to try to come like with a pleasant tone, calm, you know, slow down. If you know you talk fast, just so that you can really get some understanding. The worst thing you can do, again, same time, is to leave a conversation feeling like you got nowhere, you know, like that is not the goal. You should be going into conversations, coming out and getting some better understanding, feel like you got your point across. And all of that helps with like just kind of changing your tone. I really, really suggest not cussing, because cussing escalates everything. I have learned that I'm like, I don't care if we're just talking with your girls or your boy, and you're like, you have to know your audience, but I know with me, sometimes I just see all the time like cussing there's so many words. Expand your vocabulary. The best cuss outs are the ones that have no cuss words because you be, oh, what? So just really try to think about how you're saying something. That's so much more important because you want to get your message across. Okay. Then stick to your main point. Like I said, what is really bothering you? Because I feel like that's another thing with people will try to throw in other, well, you did this and how did I in the patent, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm here focused on a purpose. I'm being selective and strategic. And I really need to get this off my chest because that is the main point. And everything else, I feel like I can work through and process and let go. But if we don't get this point across, I'm going to have to cut you off or I'm not going to be about something, but like we need to really address this. So stick to your main point and don't let all the other side distractions. And that's why it's so important to listen more than you speak, because then you won't let those distractions get in the conversation. You'll be focused and guided on your main point. Okay. And then another thing that's key is knowing when it's time to let go. I know this, like, so let's say you do choose your battle. Like, let's say with my professor, like, she still wasn't trying to put me on the paper. And we're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At the end of the day, I have to do like a cost benefit analysis, which is like pretty much a pros and cons list. And like that's where you go with your goals and your value. Does this really align? Like I said, at the end of the day, a paper is not that serious to me. I know it like it's good for my resume and my long-term goals, but I know I'm here to serve people and help people. So if my name is not on the paper, I'm not gonna die. Maybe we can go back and forth one or two times. I have my evidence and my support, but at the end of the day, that's not something that I feel like I really need to like just go all hard for. And that's something that I'm okay with. So it's better to just go ahead with that mindset that like before you even decide this, like know what is your boundary point? Where is like your stopping point? So you're not going back and forth, and again, wasting time. And then knowing when it's time to let go, but still having a plan for how you plan to process your emotions and maybe find another way to solve the problem. So I'm not saying you guys have to walk away from everything, like just again, be strategic, have a plan for how you're going to process emotions, whether that be writing it down, doing some art, meditating, praying, saying, Lord, let your will be done. Talking to a friend again, one more time, just to let it out, but just some way, maybe journal, do something where you can just like have a final little like this is it. And then if you want to come back and step back and find another way to solve the problem, there's multiple ways, like a math problem. So like I think that's why people like math. I don't know, I'm not really a math person. I feel like there's multiple ways you can get, I was gonna say me either, you can get to. So maybe it's not with that person. Maybe you don't need to spend your time and energy talking to someone that maybe it's time for you to step away, and then you'll find another way, like where it'll come full circle and you'll be in a different position where you can call the shots, or you'll meet someone that knows somebody else and now you bypass that battle because you were really reflective now. And it kind of, I'm sorry, it's like there's this Bible verse that says, the Lord will set a table before you in the presence of your enemies. So sometimes you won't see the reward right now of stepping back and letting it go, but like it'll speak in your actions and in your work. And like you'll be in positions and you'll meet people where now you bypass this person and it doesn't even matter. And it's kind of like that karma or, revenge that people say, like, someday you'll be the boss's boss and like you'll be like, ha, okay, that's what I thought. But still, there's like, you still have to be humble when you get power, but that's another conversation. Okay, so the main point, what time is it? Okay, is that walking away is not weak. It is power, okay? And the only reason I say that is because of this word called self-control. And self-control can cross so many different lines in your life, like in all areas. If you can really get a hold of like restraint of things that are important to you and what you choose to spend your time on, you will be the master of yourself, and the master of yourself is power. So self-control is the ability to control oneself, in particular one's emotions and desires, and express in their expression of them in one's behavior, especially in difficult situations. Okay, that is key. So having self-control is easy when you're kind of like, but in difficult situations, this is when self-control and and restraint of your emotions and desires and being, just kind of in control of your body. This is when it really shines. Um, and so, like I said, this can be with like choosing how you spend your time, having self control and discipline in that. These words are kind of synonymous with like what you're eating, with what you're listening with what you're choosing to like speak up on. Self control is not a weak thing, it's a powerful thing. All right. And then just one more quote, just to kind of summarize and end on a lighter note. I get these thoughts of the day every day sent to my email. So this one I really liked, and this came today. And I felt like it was like a perfect cherry on top to what we were going to be talking about. And it says, work hard and talk less. Do what you feel is right. Learn from your mistakes, build people up, laugh often, stop complaining, invest in yourself, dream big, plan ahead, and love unconditionally. So that is it for the PowerPoint.
Yo, you did amazing. You did amazing. So I took a whole bunch of notes, yo. Like I almost started to had to use my other whiteboard. That's how many notes I was taking. Before I read my notes, I want to read some of these comments because you had a lot of good comments coming through. And yo, I'm gonna just read the comments that was specific to what Miss Simone was talking about. So never had no. We gotta go. Okay, so at the Nero was talking about having the definitions was very hard. Cam said you want good energy around you. Ari was kind of agreeing, saying, yes, Miss Simone, that's all facts. Lamar said, this makes me think of a past situation where I could have chosen my battles better. This was earlier when you was talking about the Raven Simone stuff. Nira said, real leaders shake rooms. That's when you was talking about having substance. James said, time is money, and that's not about to be wasted. Nira taking her notes. They was laughing at the It's So Raven thing.
No,
Hardcore, I know. Hardcore said, you got to stand up for what you believe in. Cam said you have to have integrity. And she said, we ain't wasting no time this year. That's right. That's right. Nira said, Miss Simone, your presentations and public speaking skills are A1. Like, how you just figuring that out? We been do that. That's old. That's old. Yo, we already know Miss Simone, top of the grade. Cam said it's important to listen before you speak. Lamar said, I agree because you'll be on your friend's side and sometimes can't see that isn't the right side to be on. Ari said that she definitely needs to work on her body language because her body language shows a lot. Lamar was affirming that some of the stuff you were saying, his teacher says that stuff too. Hey, Coop, shout out to Coop. He on here, Seeds of Promise. Check him out. Cam said, yeah, get straight to the point so that you can start to see the progress in the conversation. James said he needs to work on letting his guard down a little more. Mar said, I know we talked about this, Miss Simone, but I remember when you said, what's on the paper, don't tell me who I am. I want to see actions and what you're capable of and even bring more faith.
Yes.
Yeah, Cam said, that's right. You don't have to react to everything. Lamar said that self-control can make or break what you have going on. And Cam says some people try to bring out the worst in you, but you gotta always remember you're representing yourself and you need to put your best self out there. Lamar said things grow in silence. Y'all are on fire. Y'all are on, yo, this is what I'm talking about, y'all. Like, y'all about to be teaching us. Like, we about to sit down and we about to move out the way and about to let y'all start teaching this. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Can I share my notes real quick, Miss Simone?
Come on, Miss Jones.
All right. I took you was just dropping a whole bunch of jewels. So the first thing I wrote was being mindful about the people that you have around you. And I think that kind of speaks into everything that you said, especially when you started talking about how, you know, they can have you like hooked into their mess and like you don't even know. And that just, it kind of sets the tone for your life and where you're going in life. Like you can look at the people around you and basically see not only where you are, but where you are going to potentially go as well. I put, don't worry about being popular, worry about being purposeful. And I think a lot of people, especially when you start to get in some of these rooms, like how you said, people want to speak just to speak. They want to talk just to hear themselves talk, but really you ain't talking about nothing. And there's certain people who, when you open your mouth, people are going to automatically listen because they know that when you say something, it's going to be powerful, it's going to be significant. So my message on that one would be forget who's popping, forget who's popular, who's significant, who has purpose. And that's where you want to really find out who's doing what. I put right here too that you can't have yes men around you. Like those type of people shut you down. Like if somebody is only telling you all good things about yourself and all they doing is reaffirming every single thing that you're doing, that person is probably not good for your growth. And you got to understand and you got to make sure that you have the type of culture where people, number one, feel comfortable checking you and that you got people who are strong enough to check you because that's how you grow. Now, everybody can't say something to you. Like everybody can't say nothing to me because first of all, what are you doing? And if you ain't doing at least half of what I'm doing, don't even come over here. But I need for everybody who really care about me and for people who really love me, let me know when I'm slipping. Let me know when I'm lacking. All my ideas aren't going to be great ideas. Yes, I know I got pretty good ideas most of the time, but all of my ideas aren't going to be great. And all of them aren't going to always be the best idea either. Sometimes we got to go with another idea that's the best idea. But you got to make sure that you got people around you that ain't just feeding your ego. Because when your ego gets so big, you ain't going to be able to get through no rooms. You ain't going to be able to get to no opportunities because that big old head, you can't carry it around. So definitely, yes, men, not good for your growth. And I put also too, that you can't have that blind loyalty because you'll miss the big picture in every situation if you just loyal to a person. You can't be loyal to a person. You got to be loyal to your values, be loyal to your moral situation, be loyal to what you want to see the world be. And people who love you and care about you, they'll respect that. I tell people all the time that I'm loyal to when they wrong, when I don't agree, and know when I'm not doing that. That don't mean that I have less loyalty for you, but it just means like, no, I'm not about to just blindly follow what you say because I like you. Like, no, loyalty, and I think I said this on a Jewel a while back, loyalty can't become dumnity because that's what it end up being when you just with somebody just because you're loyal and that's it. And then I put listen to understand, not to reply. Like that's one of the greatest things that you can do. Like when people were talking, especially somebody that you respect, or even if you don't respect that person, but if you're engaging in that conversation, truly be there in that moment, listening to understand, not to conjure up your reply in your head. And if you need to take time after that person has said what they had to say, to like, you know, think about what your reply is going to be honest about that. You ain't got to just spit something out because that's dumb. And 9 times out of 10, that's how people get caught up in saying things that they're going to regret and that you can't take back. And once you've thrown that dart, it done already made its mark. The next thing I wrote was that communication, 10% of all communication is what you say. Like is the 90% is everything that Miss Simone talked about, everything you hit on, like their body language, the tone, like your eye contact, how you saying things, like all that stuff. That's really communication. Your words have very, very little to do with how people receive and perceive you and what communication is about. Words are just an enhancement. But everything else, including your actions too, that go along with the words, that's how you communicating in this world. And I put here, you can't expect to eat the fruit the same day that you plant the seed. Like you gotta give yourself time. You got to give the situation time. Don't be so frustrated and so in a rush that you think that you got to have these immediate results. It don't always work like that, especially when you talk about long-term sustainable success. Anybody can be successful in a moment, but that success is going to be gone the next day, which is why I get on some of these heartbeats like so bad, because really you got that bum mentality still. Like, yeah, you might show up for a day, you might show up for an hour, but then you reverting right back to your bum mentality because you think you did something because you showed up for one day. Like, no, it's about what you do consistently. And when you plant those seeds, man, you're not eating the same day. You got to continue to plant, continue to water, continue to cultivate in order to be able to see the success, and stop thinking that you just put success in the microwave. It ain't no microwave for success. And then my last thing before I get into some of y'all comments, because I see y'all blowing them up, the last thing I wrote was that with this knowledge that we're giving y'all, this wisdom that we're giving y'all, please be careful. Like, we giving y'all everything truly from our heart. And truly with this stuff, you can do a whole lot of good in this world, or you can do a whole lot of bad in this world. And y'all seen that firsthand by some people who I just had to cut off, because I know the power of what we're teaching you, and I know the power of what we putting inside of you, and the power of the seeds that we are planting in you guys. Like, I know the power of that. That's the type of power that can change the world. That's the type of power that could set you on a trajectory that right now your mind can't even comprehend. But what I want you to understand is that we are trusting you to use this stuff with good intention. We are trusting you to do good with it, because you could take all of this and manipulate people. You can take all of this and steal from people. You can take all of this and basically turn people and situations upside down to work in your favor, because now you know the game. Now you understand how to work people, how to play people. But we trusting you not to do that. We're not manipulating nobody's minds. We're not turning situations in our favor. We are trying to help people. So I need y'all to be taking this stuff in and take it to use it for the good of the world, and not contribute to what some of these people are doing, just keeping poor people poor so that they can profit. So that's the last of my notes. That's the last of my notes. Thank you, Miss Simone. Man.
I could run a marathon. I'm telling you.
Man, right? Man, listen. We doing it on here. Where we at though with the comments? I saw y'all blowing the comments. I'm about to let's see what we got in the comments. Yeah, right. The cherries on top before we wipe this iPad off and give it away. Let's see. Joy said, I love that last one. Is definitely upfront without being harsh. Working hard is very important at this time, and we need to not take these passing days for granted. Let's continue to work, y'all. Yes. Mars said, I don't like that. That's why I'm never going to be silent again. That's right. Q said, not everyone can come along for your journey. Yo, what Miss Simone say? Lead them chickens at the phone. Please. Yeah. Coop said, that's deep. Letting your guard down is hard for a lot of folks. Vulnerability. Yo, we got to talk about vulnerability, not now, but in another session, because vulnerability really is power and leadership. It's this author named Brene Brown. I don't know if you guys heard of her, but Brene is the truth, and a lot of what she talks about is vulnerability. Like, even though you're a leader and people looking up to you, they still need to know that you are human as well. So vulnerability is definitely an amazing quality in leadership. Cam said, as far as conflict, I agree that things can grow in silence, but as far as youth making progress, I understand. Got to speak up. Yeah. Lamar said, I agree. You need someone to tell you when you're wrong, not when you're doing good. Yo, so many young people, even young people who I used to work with, who I had to cut off, they would have been so much better if they would have listened to some of the other young people that was telling them when their head was getting too big and when they started tripping. Like, yo, you could have avoided all of that if you would have just listened to somebody. Like, I agree 100%. Mars said, when youth speaks positivity, the adults start shaking in their boots and they feel like the youth have no say in their future. You ain't lying. But you know what? Those adults, that's a incompetence within them. And that's self-esteem, low self-esteem on them and low self-confidence on them. Can't nothing y'all say intimidate me, like, because I know who I am. And if anything, I need you to be more powerful than me. I need you to be a better leader than me. I need you to do everything 10, 20 times better than what I ever did, because the future is dependent on you, not me. We here right now, but trust and believe y'all definitely up next. So if you got an adult that's intimidated by what you saying, check that adult, not yourself. Let them deal with that. Cam said, you being honest and you care about them. Absolutely. Ari said, loyalty isn't just following, it's growing and bettering the person and being there for them while they improve. Yo,
one more time.
Yo, and Ari back from the dead, y'all. She was gone. She was in her casket, nails and everything. She came back with a banger. Yeah, this is why we need you to stay involved. This is good stuff, y'all. Yeah. Dumnity, new word on deck. Coop said, hey, you already know. Cam said consistency is key. And you got to do things in the right way. Stinker, can I have your notes? Yep, you know what? You sure can. I'll take a picture and send them to you. I hope you can read my handwriting. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. Cam said the wording on the notes is something different. No, I got you. Jamira said, having someone tell you both is good. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Yo.
Y'all ready?
Ready. Yo, ready. More ready than what they ever thought, y'all. And to just think, yo, somebody had the nerve to tell us, oh, BCPS back up and running. Y'all can go ahead and shut down your success sessions. What? Hey, yo, what?
We're good.
Right? Hey, listen, check this out. Thank God we don't have to answer to nobody.
I know.
Thank God we done built something that's our own. Thank God that kids know that, you know, you got a safe space that you can come to and that, yo, we going to get it done. And it ain't about being in competition with nobody. I'm not in no competition with BCPS. They cool. I love them. They our partners. I could never be in competition with them. Like, why compare yourself to somebody that ain't even in your lane? Like, yo. Don't get me wrong though. I ain't no teacher though. So when schools really open back up, deuces. Y'all go back to the chicken coops.
I wish people would stop thinking about competition. It's like you said, in your own lane. We're giving people multiple options. Okay, there's not a one size fits all. If you're intimidated by what we're doing in our lane, that means you're not focused enough and giving all that you can in your lane. This is just options. We're giving people options. You
exactly.
Strong. I'm gonna do my lane strong. I'm gonna do all that. We're gonna have a 6-lane highway. Get lit,
right.
Get
Right. Exactly. Man, y'all ready for me to wipe this iPad down and give it away? Y'all thought it was a game.
You came strong with the Clorox wipes.
I came strong. This ain't even the great value ones, y'all. This is the real Clorox ones.
Not even the great value.
Yeah. So look, we had a lot of good tags come through where people talked about, what they liked about success sessions and all that stuff like that. Easily, if I had to pick like the best written one, like hands down, one stood out. I'm not even going to do it because I don't want y'all to be mad at me. So I ain't going to say who, but I think y'all know. But when I thought about who I wanted to give this iPad to and just what it meant to, to be able to, show somebody and to show you guys, what leadership really is. The person I'm going to give this iPad to, y'all, done stepped up even a lot harder than some people who've been rolling with us for a minute. Yo, my man's Lamar, yo. When Miss Simone, This man jumped on day one, knew nothing about this man, knew nothing about HeartSmiles. This man jumped on day one and has not left since.
Yeah.
Not only has he not left, he's really been like engaging. He's really been adding value to the situation. And y'all know the opportunity links that I sent out yesterday, right? I don't know what happened. I don't know what he was trying to do, but I had like 50 emails, all from him saying that he was trying to complete the link. Yo, let me see if it's in there or if it got deleted already. But yo, I was like, what in the world?
Not playing.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone. Miss Mo already deleted them. But yo, she was hitting me up like, is something wrong with him? Is something wrong with him? I'm like, nah, he'll figure it out, because I'm like, he be in my inbox anyway, on Instagram. So I'm like, if he really had a problem, he would have hit me up on Instagram. So that's why I didn't reach out to him. But the fact that he did whatever he did all that many times, and he figured it out, because we got the information. But I'm like, yo, somebody that's gonna click that thing 50 times, like it, and really show up and show leadership, my man, you deserve this. You see me wiping it down right now. I'm gonna get it put in a bag and all that. All I need you to do is just DM me the address where we can drop it off. And I'm just going, I'm gonna have it on your front door, and that's just what we're gonna do. But congratulations to you, man. Like, this is truly the beginning. This is truly the start. And it's good to see young people with strong mindsets, like, just really go for it, because you could have just clicked on it, then clicked right off, got right back in the bed, and went right back to whatever it is that you wanted to do. But the fact that you're here with us daily and engaged says a lot about where you want to be and where you're going. So congratulations, Lamar. Congratulations.
Yes, Lamar, keep it up. We're excited for you. All y'all about to be CEOs and stuff, and just
Man, what?
For us. Okay.
You already, and I don't even want to have to send a Cash App request. Just send me $100 a day, like on automatic.
Every single direct deposit. And I want to shout out Camry too, because I feel like Cam told Lamar about success sessions.
You know what, did she?
I think so. Cam, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I just wanted to make a point, because again, y'all, don't keep all of this to yourself too. Like, if you feel like you don't have enough good people around you, this is how you get your people involved in the stuff that you're doing. You don't have to leave. You can leave people behind, but if there's people who want to come that are serious about this, spread the wealth and knowledge, please. We're trying to raise up a generation.
Exactly. Yo, Cam, you refer Lamar. Yo, Cam been on her recruiting stuff lately too, because she had sent me something where she posted something and somebody replied, and she was like, yo, can you do me a favor? And the dude was like, yeah. She's like, get on these success sessions on Tinder. Hey,
I like that. Can you
yo, I'm about to holler at Miss Emma today. I'm about to see what type of recruiting budget I could get. Cam, I'm gonna hire you, man, because like, yo, like what?
Yeah, Lamar, that's how we do it, y'all. This is how you believe it.
Absolutely. And that's how you share the love and share the knowledge and stuff like that. I mean, it ain't about beating people up and making them come. That's why I said don't wake nobody up that ain't already up. That ain't the type of person that I want anyway. But it's about letting people know, like, yo, here's some opportunities, like share these opportunities. And the more that we get, the bigger we grow, yo, the more that we can give. Like, that's how that go.
I can't. It's gonna be like Oprah. You're gonna be like, Miss Jonah, you get an iPad. You get an iPad.
Right. Everybody get an iPad.
You get a Minty.
Yo, Lamar said, yeah, my daughter had to put me on. Hey, yo, he played with you, Cam. He played with you. Oh man, Jamaica child played me, said Instagram don't have an inbox. You know what I mean? Or the guy. Or something box. People be burning up.
Something.
Right? Man, our time is up for the day, y'all. With Miss Simone, we had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Who coming back at 11? You coming back at 11, Miss
Oh
Simone, to
yeah,
watch
I'll
Mr.
be
Todd?
all the time. I'm just like trying to type up stuff and look, but I'm
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this one because he's going to be talking about comics and literature.
that's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm a huge Marvel fan, so I'm excited about like this type of conversation. So yeah, so Mr. Todd gonna be back at 11. Thank you as always, Miss Simone. All right, I see y'all back in like 5 minutes. Hey y'all. We are back. Mr. Todd is here. We about to go ahead and get him on. Very excited for this conversation. Hey, Mr. Todd. Hey, Mr. Todd.
Hey, good morning. Sorry, I was getting my audio working.
No, it's okay. Good morning. How you doing?
Not too bad. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. Like, I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I'm excited to kind of get into like the meat of this conversation because I don't know if you know, but I'm a really big Marvel fan.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that. And I think we might have a couple of kids who are with me. Hopefully we don't have Team DC on here, but we'll see. But can you start just by formally introducing yourself, like telling us a little bit about you, like where you grew up and
Sure.
that type of stuff.
So first, excuse me, like everyone else, I need a haircut. Haven't been able to do that for 4 weeks, and I'm 4 weeks overdue. My full name is Todd Allen Wilson. Somehow when my mom was 19 and she had me, she screwed up and gave me 2 first names. So we pretend like I have a first and middle name, but really I have 2 first names. You're going to notice, or you're going to think I talk funny. That's because I'm from Northern California, and even people in Southern California make fun of the way we talk. But my wife, born and bred, raised, lived her life in Baltimore. So I can understand how Baltimore people act. Just forgive me for talking funny. Like I said, I'm from Northern California, lived there mostly until I was 40, and then late in life went out to explore the world. In California, for most of my adult life, I was a public school teacher, and then decided to try something else and went back to school, got a degree, and went on and became a journalist. I worked for the Chicago Tribune. I worked for the Daily Press in Virginia, and I got a little disheartened by it. I was covering state governments and national politics, and I couldn't do it with a straight face anymore when I felt that one side was working in bad faith. So I decided to take my talents and use them for things I believe in, and that's how I ended up at the Johns Hopkins Center for Adolescent Health, where I am the communication specialist. And through all that, I've been a journalist, a communication specialist, a teacher, a this, a that. I ran a Jiffy Lube. I worked at a funeral home. Through all of that, I have been a serious nerd. It's just who I am, what I am. My wife finally got me to embrace it. So you can see, this is our escape room from coronavirus. We come down here at the end of working, from home all day, and let the rest of the world go as much as we can. And during this time when you're cooped up with everyone in your house, you got to find that little place for you where the rest of the world just goes away and you feel okay about who you are and what you're doing. I'm wearing you probably can't see because the camera's too low. I'm wearing my Hawkeye t-shirt today. Hawkeye, one of my favorite characters, because when I really got into comics, I started when I was 7. I saw the first Star Wars movie. It just came out, blew my mind, and was doing Star Wars comic books. So I was just like, oh yeah, got to get them books. Then when I got in my teen years, I started expanding and reading other comics, and one of the first characters I really fell in love with was Hawkeye, and they did a little mini series on him at the time that got me into him. Him and Falcon. Those were my 2 favorites back when I was 14. They both had little miniseries. I love that Falcon, both in the movies, as we're going to see, going on to the TV shows, but in the comics for a long time, Falcon has been Captain America. And that I always thought was awesome to see, because I grew up in a very diverse community, where actually there were less people who looked like me than people that looked like all over the spectrum. And it was kind of neat as I got older and Falcon becomes Captain America, to see people I grew up around and my friends and my neighborhood community, people that look like that. Captain America, yes. So I've been at this a long time. And as a teacher, I used to use comic books. I taught mostly 6th grade. I used comic books to help struggling readers. One, develop a love for reading, and 2, strengthen their reading skills. And you say, comic books, man, how does that happen? Actually, comic books are a great way to increase your reading skills, because the vocabulary in comic books is actually pretty high level. They're written at a pretty high level rate. And what those visual images let you do for the words you don't understand, those visuals gives you that context to help understand them. And there's actually been quite a few studies on this. And then the question is, is our comics, our graphic novels, is that literature, big L literature? Well, I guess the question, we first have to ask is why do we read, and what makes something literature? We read to make sense of the world around us. And whether it's to learn something about how something works, to escape whatever it is you're going through that day, literature with a capital L takes you into another world that helps you explain your world. And if you're using it for an escape, you're thinking about what are those things in that literature, in what you're reading, how are those things different from your world, and why does this escape help you? What is it you're finding in here that you're lacking in your daily community that takes you there? And we found that graphic novels can do that. When I was a kid and a teenager in the 1980s, you had a new group of authors who wanted to explore the world more. Comic books had been doing that. We know that when Stan Lee started X-Men in the early 1960s, that was a parable for racism in the United States. These people are different by birth, and society is coming down on them. How do they team up to protect themselves, their community, and show that they are equal, valid, contributing members to any human society? And then again, Marvel introduces Black Panther in 1968 as the Black Panther movement is rising, which is why he chose the name, or Marvel chose the name Black Panther. And we go on from there. And in the 80s, people wanted to maybe move away from some of the superheroes to explore some other ideas. So any of you who know Batman Dark Knight Rises, we'll do a little DC here, although I'm a Marvel person. Dark Knight Rises came out in the 1980s, and that was Christopher Nolan's with Christian Bale. Those Batman movies come from that. But the author, Frank Miller, actually originally did a book called Ronin. And this is considered the very first graphic novel, 1984. It wasn't a series of comic books, single issue comic books collected into a book. It was written as one big long book, and it explores the relationship to humanity and technology. And what do we do as technology increases and outpaces us and is smarter and more powerful than us? How do we live in that world, and what it means to live in that world? Another thing people at the time were doing, if you know now, there's the Watchmen show on TV. I believe that's on Amazon. In the late 80s, Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, comic book writers, wanted to turn the idea of superheroes on their head. They're not these perfect beings. They are people just like us. They have problems. They screw up. They may have bad motives. And they did that in Watchmen. And part of it, if you've ever heard, and as you get older, and you may find this if you go on to college, you may find some classes on humanities or political science or even literature talking about the author Ayn Rand, and you'll hear about her in the political discussion some days if you're paying attention. Now you can listen to this voice. She came up with this idea called objective realism, which is, and let me say from the outset, this is not a theory I agree with, but it is a theory that dominates one of our major political parties. And it's that you have the masses, the people, and they're really anonymous. They're only there to make certain people's lives better. And these are the super people, the people who are above, the elites, the smart people. You can look at the history of our country and read that any way you like, but we're talking about the people, the white men who own businesses, who own big, large businesses and use their money to control things the way they want. Well, Ayn Rand says that's fine. That's the human condition, and you people are special. So what happens to the masses doesn't really matter as long as the masses are serving you. Well, superheroes kind of play into that idea, right? They have special abilities. They're above the rest of us. They can do things we can't. And so especially early comics, without realizing that they were sort of putting out there the same picture as Ayn Rand, that's that idea. It's why my oldest son, my youngest son, who is 21, he hates Superman because Superman's too perfect, right? You can't. What can you do with Superman? The only thing that hurts him is kryptonite, and he's the best guy ever. That doesn't appeal to him. So what Al and Dave Gibbons did in The Watchmen is they said, no, these people aren't special. They have special powers, but they're still people, and they still have to live with the rest of us, and we as people without powers have meaning and have the ability to act on our own and do our own things. And we have, just like anyone in a position of power, we have the ability to better ourselves, and we have the ability to worsen ourselves. Although as we go down that chain from the top, we know that when we worsen ourselves, the farther down the chain, the worse it is for us. Our society, for some reason, seems to like to punish us more the further down the chain we are. So that's how really we get to graphic novels as literature. And a lot of it is really about the hero's journey. What are these people struggling with? What are they going through? What do they have to do both externally with the people around them and internally with themselves? What's the struggle that they are going through inside to make their world better in that moment? And of course, then the fun things about comics and graphic novels is beautiful art. I mean, some of the artwork is just incredible, and they're fun stories, right? I mean, you watch the Marvel movies, and while some are better than others, I can't think of one where I didn't walk out of the theater just having had a blast. And the comics are like that too. The nice thing about that comic is while you're reading that graphic novel, you have time to think and reflect on what's going on in your life and how this relates to it, good or bad. So I know I can only see Miss Joni, but I would like to hear from you guys if you can do comments or questions. Who are some of your favorite superheroes and why?
Yeah, absolutely, y'all. So whatever questions, comments y'all have, and y'all hear the question that Mr. Todd just posed. So who's your favorite superhero and why? Jamira says, like Kindred by Octavia Butler is a great graphic novel.
Yes, Octavia Butler is awesome. And in fact, I was just reading up on Nende Okafor, who is currently writing the Shuri series, which is great. I love this. I love the Shuri series. She is she was born in Nigeria, but has lived most of her life in the United States. And she writes science fiction and fantasy and does the Shuri novels. And she once recently won the highest award for science fiction fantasy writing that's named after H.P. Lovecraft, and it's called The Howard. And Nende is one of the authors who is pushing to have that changed to the statue to look like Octavia Butler as opposed to H.P. Lovecraft, because H.P. Lovecraft back in his day in the first part of the 20th century was a pretty horrible racist. And as the opportunities for people of color to write science fiction and fantasy have expanding, and they are some of the top authors in these genres, the idea is that maybe the award should be more reflective of the people who are producing the work and buying and reading the work. And in fact, you know, every once in a while, blue-eyed devils like me can do good things, do the right thing, because they pay attention to the world around them. Into the Spider-Verse movie, also one of my favorite movies, if you've seen it, and that introduces us on screen to Miles Morales, the ultimate Spider-Man, who is half Black, half Puerto Rican, lives in Brooklyn, New York. He was created by Brian Michael Bendis, who is one of the foremost comic book authors of the 21st century, from the turn of the century. He's white, he lives in Portland, Oregon. He was writing Ultimate Spider-Man, which was Peter Parker. And he's also very into the comics business. So he was looking at who are his readers. And actually, African-American and Latino children, young people, have for a long time, since the 80s, been some of the most predominant buyers and purveyors of comic books. That's where the market is. And so Brian Michael Bendis said, well, we all know Peter Parker. We've known Peter Parker since 1961. We've seen that story in the movies, and he's great and he's fun, but he doesn't look like the kids who are reading my Peter Parker books. So what do? Well, he killed off Peter Parker and he brought in Miles Morales. And at the time, this was 2007, 2008, people freaked out. What? White people freaked out. And these weren't people that were reading the book anyway. And so his attitude was like, forget you. I'm going to write for my readers. And now we see, you know, Miles has his own movie. It's one of the best-selling comic franchises out there. It's one of our favorites in our household. I told you, my son who hates Superman, who is also mixed, really likes it because he sees himself more in that story. And if you look around the comics landscape now, in the past, I'll say 15 years, but really since the Marvel movies really got going, you've seen an expansion of characters who are different from the old paradigm. Different from the old white characters, and it's been great because it's been fun. It's been neat to see different cultures, different people, and those people interacting with each other in these books on any given day to save the world. Can't do it alone.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I'm gonna read some of your comments real quick. This is some really good stuff. My favorite is Phoenix and Marvel and Black Widow because they are fierce no matter what their past did to them. Another comment, I like the villains, like the Joker or Thanos, because in my perspective, they show more power than regular heroes. It's a good perspective.
Ooh, I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Another comment, Spider-Man, because he shows me that regardless of size and adversity, you can overcome anything. It doesn't last forever. And also Deadpool, because he shows me that regardless how you are perceived to be, only you can decide what you do in life, regardless of the opinions of others. And Ari says, I like the villains. They bring a new side to the story and they are often misunderstood. I don't really like the regular Marvel heroes or villains. I like more so Suicide Squads because it's unpredictable, and Deadpool not the ideal story. That's great stuff, y'all. Definitely keep these comments coming. And if y'all have any questions for Mr. Todd, let me know. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, I really like the villains comment, and it depends on. I'm not a big villains guy. It depends on the villain. I do think Thanos is way misunderstood. I don't agree with him, but he doesn't see himself as a villain.
Yeah.
That's important in literature, right? Or that's important in life. Bad guys don't always see themselves as bad guys. And that sometimes is the problem, right? Is people think they're doing the right thing without stopping to think about how this affects others, not just themselves. And yeah.
You know what a snap means, Todd? You get a snap on that, yeah.
What I've always been drawn to some of the more gray characters, right? And that would be Deadpool. Hawkeye started out as a bad guy. His first appearance in a comic book was fighting Iron Man. I also like the characters without as much power, right? Hawkeye is just a human. Batman is just a human. Iron Man got some cool tech, but Iron Man's just a human. No actual superpowers. And gosh, what does that mean when you're in this world daily with people who have these superpowers and you're expected to hold your weight right along with them? And actually, those are some very important characters for this genre of literature. I know there's more than this, but I know of at least 3 times in the DC comics that Batman and Superman have full on fought. In the comics, every single time Batman wins. Why? Let me hear some comments on that, and we'll come back to that one.
Okay, y'all heard him right. Why? Why does Batman win every single time?
Always win. I mean, this is Superman, right? And so I really like those stories. Another thing I like, and this is a cool thing about comics, and this is something that actually does come out of Black culture and music, whether the connections are as obvious or not. But comics are great because you have so many different writers and they tell the stories different ways, and they'll take the same story and tell it in their way. How does it live in their mind? And like, we have fan fiction now and things like that. But it's really neat to see these worlds done in different ways. What if it happened this way instead of alternate universe worlds or different takes on the character? And this actually started happening in the 1970s. At the same time, we see the rise of hip hop, which has this concept of redoing things other people have done. If it's taking sampling someone else's song and doing your own take on it, that actually comes from the mid 60s to mid 70s reggae in Jamaica, where they have this concept called version, and you do a version of someone's song, or you chat over the instrumental of someone's song with just the loop playing. And that came to the United States in the Bronx through DJ Kool Herc, who moved from Jamaica with his parents to the Bronx and couldn't get all the reggae records from back home. But in the early 70s, we had the funk explosion here. So he started taking funk albums and doing versions on them. And then that and his house parties and the park parties in the Bronx become hip hop. And
that's why they messing up our music today.
Yep. and writers at the time were also in tune with what was going on musically, and started incorporating some of those same ideas. One of my favorite books, I know I keep harping on how Superman is so horrible, but one of my favorite books, Superman Red Son, and DC just came out with an animated movie of this, where Superman lands in the Soviet Union in the 1930s instead of the United States. And so you can see the communist hammer and sickle there on his thing. I got a t-shirt on that, but
Wow.
it's just a different way to do it. And that's Mark Millar, the guy that brought you the Kick-Ass books and movies, Kingsman books and movies, Old Man Logan, which is Wolverine as an old dude, where he's actually living outside of my hometown at the start of the book, which is Sacramento. Like, Sacramento never gets on the map for nothing, so I'm just excited Wolverine lived there for a minute. Yeah, let me see what some of your comments are at this point.
Yeah. So Ari says some people can see how their actions affect people. They may just need someone to show them a new point of view. Heroes always try to defeat the villain rather than get to know them and help them change. Yeah, send us some more of y'all comments. I'm not seeing a comment about why do you think Batman always wins, the Superman versus Batman.
That's a tough one. That's a tough
You might have stumped them, Todd.
We'll come, and then, you know, we're talking about the fun ones, the superhero adventures. There's lots of graphic novels now that don't focus on superheroes or enhanced beings or anything like that. There's a huge independent press, and then some are actually, you know, informational in a more fun way. You can learn history in comics. One of my favorites is a 3-book series called March by Congressman John Lewis. Before he was a congressman, John Lewis was a young activist. He led the voting rights marches in Selma. If you've seen the movie Selma, he's prominent in that. He was worked closely with Dr. King, and how he found out about Dr. King was from a comic book. He was a young man, 11 or 12 years old in Alabama when the Montgomery bus boycott was going on, and came across a comic book about the life of Dr. King up to that point, who he was and who he was about. And that stuck with him.
Wow.
Activated John Lewis. That made John Lewis think he can do something. And if you know the history of John Lewis, if you read up on the history of John Lewis, you know he did more than something. He did a lot, and he did it with his body on the line. So he's still in Congress now, and I hope for a lot more, but he is in his 80s now. But when he was in his 70s, and people were like, Congressman John, I mean, you got to write your story. You got to tell us your story. For him, the way to do that, because young people were who he felt was the most important audience for his story, was graphic novels.
Wow.
This is John Lewis's autobiography. It's got a set of 3. They are great. And every time I read them, something in them just wrenches my heart. I just, you know, get the chills, get the feelings, just very powerful. You know where you can find those for free? And I sent Miss Joni some links. Enoch Pratt Library online. You can get digital versions of those for free, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. And then
we want to post those links too. I got some more comments for you when you're ready to, Mr.
All right.
Todd.
All right. Well, let me do this one real quick. And
Okay.
then hold it up. I don't want to tease. I think there are 5 of these now. I got the first 3.
Wow.
Hip Hop Family Tree. Oh my God. When I got this, I think this first one came out 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I got it. And all of a sudden I was 14 years old again, after school, sitting with my friends on the tape deck, listening to Houdini.
What?
Yes, yes.
They don't even
Friends, how
know who
many of us
Houdini
out?
is, so I
Right.
know they don't know. They don't have no idea.
This will teach you this will take you back to DJ Kool Herc in the Bronx. And if you go up through all five, you will get up to today. And they are deeply researched. I mean, these are on point. And it tells the story in a fun way. It makes these superstars human. It puts them on the streets right with us. So,
wow.
And you learn something, right? Like, whoa.
Would you recommend that to people who want to pursue a music career?
Yes. Yes. Oh man, because if you don't know your history, right? Like in anything, when I'm doing my communication stuff, I tell people, you can't break the rules of writing if you don't know them. You can do some great, interesting stuff if you break the rules of writing. But if you don't know the rules, you can't break them, right? And that is definitely true with music. I mean, goodness, that is what jazz is all about, right? Learning the rules to perfection and then breaking all of them to make something incredible.
Wow, I love that.
That's, that is very much the same thing with hip hop. And I remember in those early days listening to Houdini, and the argument was, is this music? Right? Because you're sampling, you're taking someone else's bass cut, you're taking someone else's lyrical loop, and you're putting them into the song. So are you really creating music? Almost 50 years on, I'll say, yes. But, that's not as big of a debate that we're having anymore. But back then, that was the thing, right? Like, well, you got a drum machine and you pushed a button. Did you actually do anything? Yeah. Check out Hip Hop Family Tree and you will see.
Yeah, I might have checked that one out myself, because I be so mad with these new artists. Like, y'all taking stuff that was good and making it bad. Like, some of this crap drives me crazy. Like, you have zero talent, like, and you're just messing up something that used to be so good. Not everybody, but the majority of them, for sure.
Yeah. I fit the way I think of it. If you're using auto-tune just to be able to sing, you're not right. If you're using auto-tune to do interesting things in my song, like I mean, we can go back to California Love with Roger featuring Zapp. I know I'm just making Joni feel old now, but that's all right. I like.
No, I thought you were about to say Tupac. He was about to be here.
Yeah. So now, did anybody got the why Batman?
Yeah. So, all right. So you got a couple of answers. Because he uses his knowledge and strength to fight instead of just brutal like Superman. Also, Batman is known for using whatever he has on his hand because he knows how hard it is to live in a world. Another comment, Batman doesn't have powers. He has tools to help him succeed. You may just need the right tools rather than powers. Interesting perspective. Batman always wins because it's the way the writer wants to allow the hero to win, to put a mindset on their viewers. I think it's because brains always outweigh strength. Just because something is strong doesn't mean that they're invincible. I have 3 books about it. I think it's because Superman's powers were just there. He had to learn how to use them, but for the most part, I feel it's just that. Batman had to work hard to get where he is, and he doesn't just rely on his gadgets, but also his intelligence. Superman, I feel, relies strictly on his powers, and in a lot of cases, this is his downfall when it's time to go head to head. I already said that she agrees with that last comment, that the writer wants the audience to know that you don't need to be flashy or have powers. You just need to have the tools, and you can work in silence. And then the last comment, because not all heroes need to be strong to win. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
You all hit it dead on. Now,
Wow.
Now let me say, first of all, there is no wrong answer, right? Like that's the fun thing about talking about literature. There's no, as long as you back up what you say, there's no wrong answer, right? Like you can just say, no, you're crazy. Okay, why am I crazy then? Why am I crazy? You hit it, you guys hit it right on. And a couple really stuck out to me. This idea that the author wants to put in place a mindset. And yeah, that's actually a really important part of it. Now, when we couple it with the idea of him having tools and not powers, and using those tools, one of the early humans, the first early humans to make fire and make tools was called Homo habilis. And that translates in Latin to man tool user. He was the first people to use tools. And that's one of the things that defines us as humans, is that most animals don't create separate tools that we then use to do things. That's very, very human. And you can overcome this idea is you can overcome if you have the right tools. Now, on the larger level, then what this gets to is someone like Superman, right, is a threat to us. Someone like Thor is a threat to these are people that just from the moment of their creation had these powers. They're not us. They're not human. And the things they can do seem like, right, could take us all out in a minute, right? How do you stop Superman? How do you stop COVID-19? How do you stop something, right? The human spirit always has to overcome. We as humans, as a people, as a species, working together, can overcome these threats, can overcome these non-human obstacles in our path if we have the right tools and right knowledge to do it. And that's where you guys all went with that. And that mindset is important for us as just generic human being on the inside, right? Like when you just internalize that, it's okay, because we individually have the power of agency, and we together have the power of agency, and we can and will overcome. There is not something that's gonna come to us that's gonna stop us. That's not us. We can stop ourselves, and we do a good job at that. But when push comes to shove, if we use what we have as human beings, and that also means our community and our societies, we can overcome. And that's the mindset the authors want to give you. And that's the same thing you see in science fiction as a whole, in fantasy writing as a whole, in that we as a species cannot be stopped.
That's interesting. That's really interesting when you think about it. I love it. Can you, y'all definitely, if y'all got any questions for Mr. Todd, put y'all questions in. But I want you to talk a little bit about the significance of Black Panther, like when that came out. So like it was a really, really, really big deal. And I'm not gonna lie, like at first, I mean, I was excited just to see it because I like those type of movies, but I wasn't necessarily with the train of, finally, we're being portrayed in a positive light and, powerful and all that. Like I wasn't on that at first until I saw the reaction of kids. When I saw the reaction of kids and I saw how their self-esteem was boosted up, and I think I had walked into the elementary school and one of the kids said something that said, it was something to the effect of, I'm going to go see and learn about who I am and where I came from. Like, and that is kind of what, put me on that train of, okay, I guess this really was significant for Black culture. But can you just talk about like your perspective and why that was so important and why did it take so long?
Money.
Oh,
So remember, let's go back to Brian Michael Bendis and Miles Morales. He, as an author, took the time to stop and look at who was reading his work and made the conscious decision to change. Hollywood has always been slow to do that, right? And there's this idea that if you make something like Black Panther, it's only going to appeal to the Black community, and they're not going to go to the movies in enough force to make you the money you need at the box office. That's a stereotype, a trope that's been going on actively conversations since the 1950s and 1960s. It's not true. And they saw the reaction people had to Black Panther in Captain America Civil War, and realized they may be on to something, that people like this character. And it's the same reason that Stan Lee had Black Panther created in 1968, is understanding who the audience for these franchises is. And then when they put it out, they were still unsure. And that also shows you why it got a early spring release date, right? They weren't sure how this was gonna perform. Then it performed like a summer blockbuster. After Endgame and Infinity War, the biggest money-making Marvel movie, and until Endgame and Infinity War, the biggest money-making Marvel movie is Black Panther, hands down. And you're right, it's people who love these types of stories seeing themselves on screen. And Black Panther actually, and from it was written, it was a Black author. I'm going to screw up his last name. I think it's Chris Williams, but it may be Chris McKinley. I'm getting two authors mixed up. This goes back to the 1920s and 30s. This idea, Marcus Garvey, and the Black is Beautiful and Back to Africa movement. Marcus Garvey was a civil rights leader in a dark time for civil rights, who preached African-American self-sustaining qualities and the fact that you're descended from kings and queens. You are descended from deep cultures. You're descended from the roots of human culture. And all of these beginnings of human culture are coming out of Africa. And so he used to dress up, and his officers in his organization and the people that went, they used to dress up in finery like the royals of Europe. And the idea was that this is also our heritage too. And we, just like white people in America can look to the kings and queens in Europe and their great dynasty, we are royal too. We are also kings and queens. And this idea has, and then in the Black Panther movement in the late 60s, Black and Beautiful, they actually went to James Brown and had him do the song, I'm Black and I'm Proud. So these are ideas that keep funneling through, and to show you that you may have been born into a certain condition in the society you live in, and that society as a whole may say things about you and your community and the way it is, and that's just not true. Mm-hmm. From the same thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years of cultural history and legacy that all human beings come from, and we know that all started on the continent of Africa. So to see that, and one of the things I like is in Black Panther is not just that they're technologically advanced and they have this beautiful culture, but man, they put everybody else to shame. I mean, it's not even a contest. In fact, I'll admit, we watch the movies all the time because they're great to have in the background, but I sat down and watched Black Panther this weekend. I was up, and I can't, every time I fall out and just think it's the best line. When the CIA agent wakes up from being shot, comes in, and Shuri's been working on him, and she turns to him and says, "Hello, colonizer." You know, and I every time I just think that is just the funniest thing. But the truth is, while there may not be a technologically advanced culture in Africa or anywhere on the planet that reaches their technological level, there are deep cultures with art and literature and invention. And how many of y'all hate taking your algebra quizzes and tests? You can blame that on Northwest Africa. Al-Jabbar came from Northwest Africa and invented algebra.
Wow.
So, and that's what, the nice thing about it is it told Hollywood you're wrong. No, these movies are sustainable. Everyone wants to see them. And, you know, for us Gen Xers, like I said, when I was 14, for me, it was Hawkeye and Falcon, right? And we are the ones that, Gen Xers are the ones that have started to grow up in a more diverse together society, meaning we all have access to each other's cultural products and stories. And, you know, a good chunk of us like them. So we're there for it too. And that I think when it was the highest grossing Marvel movie up to that point, I turned to my wife. I said, "You see?" Mm-hmm. And if you ever go to Comic-Cons or anything like that, the Baltimore Comic-Con is actually great. It really focuses on the writers and the artists, and they will sit and talk to you all day long.
Wow.
Those are some of the most diverse spaces you're gonna see around, because even though, let's say, you know, somewhere like Baltimore, DC, New York, Philly, they're diverse cities in the numbers of people they have in their population, but we know that people don't interact, except for maybe in retail and workspaces outside their communities much. You go to a Comic-Con, and oh my goodness, it is, I mean, it's the United Nations. It's a rainbow, and everyone is just stoked to be in Nerdland together. And so that's what I love Black Panther for delivering that message to our society. Mm-hmm. I mean, I love it because it's a great story, and T'Challa, Shuri, man, I got my Shuri statue.
Yeah, I was just about to say, can you walk us through a few of those? We only got about 5 or 6 minutes left. And people been talking about those in the background since we started.
Yeah, I got my whole thing. Some of it's Star Wars, because I told you Star Wars blew my mind. But most of it is different Marvel stuff. Got all the Spider-Mans. Here's Miles.
Oh.
And I will also tell you, I had to love Miles Morales because my oldest son, who is 23, is named Miles. So I named him after Miles Davis, the jazz musician. But
you took it too far.
If you want to tell people I named him after Miles Morales, that's cool. Also, let me say, I would love if there's a group that would like to, because I know 2 places where you can read Black Panther Volume 1 online for free by Ta-Nehisi Coates, who wrote the book Between the World and Me. Now he lives in Brooklyn, but he is West Baltimore, born, bred, and raised. So you got Black Panther coming to you from one of your own.
Wow.
Marvel Online is offering Black Panther for free, and the Enoch Library is offering for free. So if a later in the day session, if some of you want to read that and Joni wants to set up a time, we can come back together and talk about Ta-Nehisi Coates' first volume. He did 5 volumes, his first volume of Black Panther. And this is an idea about it's got Killmonger in it, but not the same as the movie. But he is challenging T'Challa's leadership. And it's this idea of monarchy versus democracy. And as a leader, what powers do you need to give your people? What rights do your people need respected by you as a leader? So if you guys are down for that, I would love to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we're gonna talk about it. We got some comments already saying I'm gonna definitely look into that. All right. So anybody who's interested in the Mr. Todd Black Panther challenge, y'all let me know, and we're gonna set that up. I think that'll be pretty cool.
All right. Well, thank you all for having me.
Man, thank you. Can you show us a few more back
Sure.
because they looking real cool.
Okay. I love this one because it's Old Man Logan. And like I said, he lived outside of Sacramento. Sacktown. I love Baltimore too, though, actually. I do. Our cities are very similar in that they're very neighborhood oriented. And so people and where they're from and who they are from by what neighborhood they're from.
Yeah.
Of samurai guys, I have some Star Wars ones too. This is Wolverine as a samurai. And that one actually makes sense because, in the Wolverine story, he's got a lot of talk, but I got Spidey as a samurai. Miles Morales as a samurai. And again, this is what keeps me sane. And when I was a kid, they had Star Wars action figures, which I had, but they're not the same as this, right? Like I come down here and I just look around and go, oh, the world can't touch me today.
Wow. Hey, somebody said, do you have Deadpool?
Do I have a Deadpool? I don't have a Deadpool statue yet. I love the movies. I have a theory about how the X-Men are going to get brought into the Marvel universe. Cool. The last set of movies culminated with Infinity War and Endgame, which a version of which is a big story, or big stories in the Marvel Comics universe. The first big story they ever did back when I was reading Hawkeye and Falcon was Secret Wars. And I had that too. And that's where you got Spider-Man with his black symbiote suit who eventually became Venom. The rumor is that's going to be the big event at the end of the next series at movies. Well, the X-Men are a side in that event.
Wow.
They go away from the other heroes and they're like, y'all don't like us, so we're going to do our own thing. And so I think that's going to be a great way to get I miss not having the X-Men in the Marvel universe.
Oh man, I know. Oh my gosh. All right, so can you show us some female ones real quick?
Oh yeah. Logan's daughter.
Wow.
23. Okoye.
Oh my gosh.
Phoenix.
That's tough.
Yes, that's the other thing. I know we talked about Black Panther, but the Shuri books are great, and there are a lot more female characters out there now that are just great. I would say Cami Garcia's new graphic novel of Raven from the DC universe. There's Captain Marvel. Is great. The Captain Marvel books by Kelly DeConnick, free on Marvel online are great. Oh, Spider Gwen, love her.
Oh yeah.
Alice. And there's been an explosion of female comic writers and characters that have just been incredible fun. And fellas, if you're not reading the girls' books too, you're missing out. And you know, one reason we read is to understand different people's perspectives. Yeah, why don't you see what Shuri's about?
Yeah.
She's going to give you
Thank
some
you.
lessons about what your sisters are doing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Todd. This was great. This was amazing. I can't wait to do this again with you. Y'all, thank y'all so much for being just awesome. Like y'all really brought value to the conversation. So we'll be back in 5 minutes with Miss Mo at 12 o'clock. Thank you, Mr. Todd.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
All right. Hey y'all. We are back. Miss Mo. Hey, Miss Mo.
Hey,
What's up? Good morning. Well, good afternoon. How you doing?
good afternoon. I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good. Man, we just
Good.
finished up a interesting and exciting conversation with Mr. Todd.
About the comics.
Yo, it was really nice, y'all. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. He even gave us a little tour of some of his statues. He got all these comic
Yeah.
statues. Like, yo, really cool.
I
Ah!
saw it for like 2 seconds. What happened?
Yo, they stay playing with you, yo. You
Every
ain't
day.
been
You know, it's fine.
you ain't been on for 10 seconds.
It's fine. It's okay. It's really okay. It's really okay.
Yo, you ain't been on for 10 seconds, yo. And they gonna say, wait, she on time.
That's okay. You know what? If I'm the source that makes you laugh in this time of crisis, then that's absolutely fine with me. That is absolutely fine. Hey y'all. Hey. No, wait, she didn't even say hey or nothing. She just said, wait, she on
I
time.
say hey, I say nothing.
Hi, she didn't say nothing. How
Hey, Miss Mo Money. That's cute.
hey man. Yes, man. He that calls me Mo Money or Mushi. I don't know where he got either of them, but it's cool.
You see who back from the dead?
Who are
Yeah. I ain't even have to tell you and you knew. Hey, yo.
hey Ari.
Yo. How you know?
Hey Ari. How you
That,
doing?
yo, crazy.
Welcome back. Welcome back to regularly scheduled programming.
Right? She climbed out that coffin. Where's that daggone summer? I'm gonna make her a winter if
Where is
she'll
not
show her
winter?
face. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
She gonna
where is
be
summer?
exactly.
I haven't seen her
Exactly.
in a little
Doing
bit.
nothing. Ain't doing
Uh-oh.
nothing. Ain't doing
I
nothing.
said, we talk about her best friend now. She about to get on us. We talk about it. Tell
Like I
her to
like
come
I
on. All
said,
right, talk about can we chill? Tell her to come on ahead.
I wasn't dead before Corona. Yo, Ari is crazy. That's true. That's true.
That is true. That is true.
Lord Rona got her. That's
Got it
crazy.
straight up.
Hey, Miss
Summer's
Trina.
MIA. Hey, Miss Trina. Where's Miss Trina? Oh, there go Miss Trina. Hey, Miss Trina.
Yeah, shout out Miss Trina, y'all. She
Yeah.
working on something too for like food. So like having like grocery bags of food, and you'll be able to like choose some of the items that you want in your grocery bag. So Miss Trina gonna be hooking that up and getting those delivered.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Mhm.
All right, y'all. Let's get right into it, right? Oh no, how was Simone's session this morning? Because you know I be trying, but I just sometimes.
Oh yeah, Miss Simone session was amazing. Miss
Yeah,
Simone was really, really, really preaching this morning.
yeah. She
Yeah,
talks about picking your own battles, right?
yeah.
Mm,
Got in real deep. It was good.
that's good. Hey, Corey. All
Oh,
right,
cool.
y'all.
Oh, cool been rocking with us all day for real, y'all. Let me find out she for real now.
She
Hey,
should
y'all.
be. To my knowledge, she might be joining us during this session, so y'all might see her. Y'all might. I don't know.
Whoa. Okay, hardcore. Stepping out that box. I know that's right. Said Summer MIA. Summer, I'm gonna tell Summer in the winter. She keep
Oh my
playing.
goodness. Just corny. Just queen of corny right here. It's fine. Stinker said, oh, Miss Trina said HeartSmiles is doing food drive bys. Stinker said, yes, we need that because these keep going to the store is annoying. Yeah, man, them lines ain't no joke. I'm just working with what we got in the house. If we run out, we run out because I'm not going outside this week. So
Yeah.
that is
Richie
what it is.
Rich.
Hey Richie. I haven't seen Richie.
I know. Richie Rich was in her little coffin too.
Can we stop talking about coffins?
Yo,
Can we stop talking
these
about
corona coffins had everybody.
Oh
Had everybody in the ditch. The corona coffins.
oh my God. Somebody come get her.
Right? Yo, I heard more from Richie Rich mama than from her. You know that be a problem.
It is. Come on, Richie. It's okay. She might be with us now.
Oh, all right.
Consistently. That's what I'm gonna speak that into existence, right, Richie? You gonna be with us every day in some capacity, right? Answer me in the comments. All right, y'all. So let's just we're gonna continue our conversation from yesterday because I feel like it was unfinished. And then we're gonna have actually a couple people kind of hop on here with us and talk about their experiences with pressure and like either how they're dealing with it, currently dealing with it, or how they were able to overcome that pressure and kind of keep moving forward and how their mindset and how they grew as a person from those experiences. So yeah, man. So yesterday, oh, real quick, Miss Joni, have you been going to the market?
Oh yeah, I was just answering in the comments. Yeah, but I try to go and get stuff that I can put in the freezer, so that way I don't have to keep going back. So like, I used to go like every like Sunday, go get my market and stuff or whatever like that. Now with this Rona, like I've been going like every other week. But I wasn't going on the Sunday. I went on the Saturday, which was kind of a mistake. But
them lines ain't no joke.
yeah,
And ain't nothing in there. But it's okay.
Well, it ain't even really like the lines, but it's just the hassle. Like the thing keep beeping off because they not trying to let you get more than like one or two of certain items, like those type of things like that. Yeah. So I'm just like, yo, I gotta chill.
It's our new normal, man. It's our new normal. Just kind of gotta get adjusted to these kind of things, man. But yeah, so yesterday we talked about conformity, compliance, and obedience. And so I'm gonna kind of go over those again because those are reasons, like the main reasons as to why we may give into social pressures or into social influences. So conformity, you voluntarily, so it's your choice, you're very conscious most of the time of you changing your behavior to fit what's normal, what you think is normal, to kind of fit those social norms. And it's very much an emphasis on changing your behavior. Compliance, you do something from like an indirect or direct request. Somebody asks you to, like, let's say they ask you to go to the store and then you go to the store. That's an example of compliance. Or they tell you to go to the store. And then obedience is taking doing something because you think that the person that is asking you to do the thing is a person of authority or somebody that you respect or is at a higher level of than you. So conformity, compliance, and obedience. So we talked about like kind of social media pressures and what those may do to you, or you know, kind of the benefits of social media too. But we also talked about some of the negatives of social media. We also kind of touched on like academic pressures, especially in this time. You know, kind of where people don't actually know what to do. It's kind of based on schools and teachers and like resources that are available, and kind of like ways to identify that. And I don't know if we talked a lot about this, but there's definitely pressure associated with the pressure that you put on yourself, and kind of like the pressure that nobody creates other than you. And that can definitely be an issue if you let it. So if you're telling yourself, you're constantly telling yourself you can't, you're not good enough, you're not gonna make it, you can't finish, things like that. And nobody else is like contributing to you, contributing to that pressure for you. And yeah, so the kinds of pressures that we didn't really get to talk about are like the family pressures that you may be experiencing. Um, and then everybody kind of knows probably at this point, like pressure that you may experience from your friends or your peers. Um, and then kind of like cultural pressures that may happen too. And those are not as open as you may think, but we can kind of talk about those too. So I'm just going to talk about those, and then we're going to have some people hop on and talk about their experiences with different pressures that they've, you know, dealt with. Um, and if y'all want me to give an example of one of these pressures, I could probably figure that out. But I was gonna
Yeah.
more focus on the people that are gonna hop on. But when we get into that conversation, maybe I'll have something for that. Yeah. What are y'all talking about? Y'all talking about the store? What? Anyway. So yeah, so let's talk about like family pressures. So this one is definitely a hard one because if the pressure is coming from, you know, your parents or the people that may be taking care of you, you may find that you want to, you know, fulfill their dreams for you, or, you know, some parents might say, I want you to be better than I was, or some grandmas, aunts, uncles, whoever, you know, maybe living in your house that you respect, that's an adult, that you kind of want to, you know, make them proud. And as a result of that, some people may, and this doesn't happen with just like parents or people taking care of you. This can happen with cousins, this can happen with siblings. This can happen with just like, you know, anybody that you may identify as family. And some people may project their goals on you and project their like dreams and hopes and wishes on you. And it's definitely a hard decision to make because you want to make those people proud. But you also have to be able to walk in your own purpose and walk in your own, you know, kind of journey. And you have to be able to identify if that's something that you want for yourself, or if that's something that you want to do to impress that person, or to, you know, speak life into that person. Um, and it's ultimately like you're not responsible for fulfilling like their specific dreams, especially if that's not something that you know, kind of want to do in your life. But that doesn't mean you don't do things to make them happy. That doesn't mean you cut like people off that are, you know, maybe doing that. And that doesn't mean like you be disrespectful either. It just means like you have to know what you love to do, and you have to know what your passions are. And you have to know like how you want to be successful. And you don't have to always agree with your family members, and you don't always have to, you know, do those things that kind of they want you to do, but just always make sure that you're being respectful. Always make sure that you're, you know, kind of asserting your opinions in a respectful way. Um, and also, like, as a result of other people putting that pressure on you, you may be putting that pressure on yourself, like, oh, I got to do this thing in order to make her proud, or to make him proud, or to make whoever proud. Um, and that that might last for a while. Honestly, like it happened with me, like that might last for a while. You may be living your life for someone else. Um, and that's something that's not, it may happen for years, but eventually you're gonna realize that you're living for somebody else, and you're gonna realize, you know, that you're not being fulfilled, and that you don't actually love the thing that you're trying to do. And that's gonna take a toll on you. It's gonna take a toll on you mentally, physically, and emotionally. Um, but I'm gonna kind of focus on that physical part too, because like a lot of times this stuff does, you know, automatically affect us mentally and emotionally, but you'll start seeing that it's affecting you physically too. You'll start seeing that you're physically tired. You'll start to see that maybe your health may be suffering from something like that, because you're trying to give yourself to so many things. You're trying to do so many things for so many people to make so many people proud. But are you making yourself proud? Are you making yourself are you loving on yourself? Are you loving the thing that you're doing? And those are kind of things that you have to ask yourself, because you'll definitely get tired of doing that kind of thing. So just kind of always be aware of that kind of pressure. But don't burn bridges that don't need to be burned. Yeah. Oof. I kind of got a well up, but I'm gonna move on.
Nah, be real, man. Be real, because that's real.
Yeah. So that's definitely just kind of like something that that's definitely a type of pressure that you can experience. And yeah, so we have academic, we have family, we have pressure that you put on yourself. I kind of touched on this yesterday with the social media conversation, but kind of pressure to look a certain way, and I want to touch on this, because sometimes, especially if you're not there, again, mindset wise or whatever, sometimes you'll consciously or unconsciously like put pressure on yourself to look a certain way, whether you're trying to reach a certain body goal or trying to make your face look a certain way or try to dress a certain way or something like that. Those are definitely pressures that exist, and I think we should be able to recognize them and recognize that people experience them. So if you are scrolling on Instagram or scrolling on whatever you're scrolling on, and you see these things, these unrealistic like expectations for body image or for ways to dress or things like that, one, you have to realize, especially on social media, a lot of people flex, a lot of people don't even have it like that.
Don't, and I can tell y'all, don't.
And you're looking at one picture, or what you get like a minute video or something like that for a post on Instagram, or like you're looking at one story that's capturing 20, that's supposed to capture a whole life, when in reality it doesn't, because you can get a couple of items and easily flex on social media, and those things are just not realistic a lot of the times. Definitely follow like if you have a certain fitness goal or something like that, definitely follow like fitness pages, to get tips and get different exercises that you can do and things like that. But just be aware of the people and the feed that you're creating for yourself, because either way, you're saying that you're not affected by it, but some of those things, especially if you're operating from that weaker mindset or from that underdeveloped mindset, those things are going to influence you, and those things can negatively influence you. So just kind of be aware of that, and don't create pressure on yourself from seeing images like that. Y'all having a conversation about stories.
I got a little conversation. I got a little. It's a little controversial a little bit.
Okay.
But I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it, because I feel like what you're touching on like is very, very important when you talk about, just like pressures and stuff. Mm-hmm. Can you speak just a little bit? And some of y'all might want to turn your TVs and stuff off now, because I'm warning y'all, this is a little controversial. Can you speak a little bit about the sexuality thing? Because I saw this post from a young person or whatever, right? Regular teenager. Mm-hmm. And it was this long post basically explaining why they now got a boyfriend when they used to only have girlfriends. And it was just so crazy, because it was like the post and the pictures, she was doing the most with the young man that she had in the pictures. I mean, like, she was doing the absolute most. Mm-hmm. And some of the comments, like, it was like a mix of some people, being positive or whatever, hey, it's your life, do what you want to do or whatever. But then some other people like, what are you doing? Like, who are you trying to confuse? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? Like, what are you doing? Like, this ain't you, da 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 da, whatever, like that. And it just kind of broke my heart because I'm like, at that age, like, you really got to know who you are, and like, in trying to look for that, and people will only confuse you, even more. So I mean, to each his own on that particular situation. But can you just talk a little bit about, especially now, like, this whole pressure on sexuality and being one way versus being another way, and just that big old mess with young people?
Yeah, so that's definitely an important topic and an important conversation because kind of, so I'm gonna go back to what you just said, like you really have to know who you are, especially if you're going to make posts like that. Um, so with that particular subject, like really, like I personally think social media platforms are not good platforms for you to be showing whatever you're doing as far as your actual sexual, not sexuality, but your actual like sexual life. Because I don't know what those pictures were or what they showed or whatever, but I assume that a lot of them were explicit and kind of like inappropriate. Is that true? That those pictures were like,
I mean, they weren't necessarily explicit, but you got the hint on what she was trying to let
to
you know
say?
what was happening. And I mean,
Okay.
just for a teenager, a broke teenager at that, I mean, you already know how I feel about that. Like, if you broke, you got better things to be worrying about anyway.
Mhm.
But yeah, like, she definitely did the picture so that way you got the idea.
Okay. Well, yeah, so I just think like in that particular case, like don't be extra with it. Like if you identify as a certain thing, and some people don't even conform to labels when it comes to sexuality. Like if you identify as a certain, you like whatever you like, you can definitely, make that known on your social media pages. But you don't have to be extra about, like, you don't have to post all these photos. You don't have to say like I did this because this person was trifling and da 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 da, and I moved this and I like this now and all of that. Like all that is unnecessary. Like if that's just part of your life and that's part of your life story, it'll just come out. There's no need to force things like that. A lot of times, like when you know who you are, like everything that you are will just kind of come out in conversation or come out in what you choose to show. So like what are you being all extra for? Nobody really asked. I hate to say it like that, but nobody really asked, whoever this particular individual was, why she, you said she had a boyfriend and now she has a girlfriend. Is that what you said?
The other way around.
Oh, she had a girlfriend, now she has a boyfriend. Nobody asked her why that happened. She in that particular moment, I just feel like maybe, it might have been an attention seeking. And I don't know, I'm not in her head. I'm not in her head, but don't do things for attention. Don't do things to be extra. Especially in those situations, those are sensitive topics and people are truly kind of, struggling with that. And may see that. And as a result, they might not be comfortable in what they're seeing. So they're not comfortable in having those conversations. So just don't be extra about it. Whoever you are will show, and whoever you kind of want to talk about. If you want to have those conversations, I think one-on-one conversations than they are plastered on social media conversations, especially in that case. But social media platforms can definitely be a way to kind of, if you do make those choices about your sexuality, if you do, kind of want to speak on those platforms, there are definitely people that emerge as kind of like role models when it comes to those conversations, so you can connect and have those difficult conversations. Yeah, but just don't be extra about it, I think. I don't know if that answers your question, and I don't know if that's a good kind
Yeah,
of
no,
perspective.
it's cool. Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
definitely brings clarity to it, and I think that the fundamental thing, you know, in terms of knowing who you are and not being all extra with whatever it is that you're doing, and I mean, even just this whole idea. I see some thinkers talk about teenagers always trying to prove a point. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
like you
And
ain't got
why?
nothing to nobody ever.
You don't. You really, really don't. You really don't. So I just think that that was kind of like, who are you trying to prove? Like, if you think about doing something like that, and I'm talking about with any topic, with any post or anything like that, ask yourself, like, what are you trying to prove yourself to other people, or are you trying to prove yourself to yourself? Um, like, are you trying to convince yourself of something? Um, because like it's no need in doing all of that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, but some people got these whole lives on social media and then forget that some of us really know you in real life.
Exactly.
Just
And then what?
forget all about that. Don't
And
think that
then what?
nobody really knows. Yeah.
And then what? Like that's the thing. Like
Exactly.
there are people out here that will, in whatever topic you trying to flex on, whatever you trying to do or whatever, there are people out here that know who you are, whether that's past or present. And what are you gonna do if that person or those people decide to expose you, especially being a teenager? Because people are petty, y'all. People are really super petty all the time. Like, and what are you gonna do when somebody decides to come for you? Are you gonna engage in that on a social media platform where you have opened up the floodgates? Or are you just gonna be true to yourself and just create an image for yourself that is truly yourself on your social media platforms? I think that's really just important. Like, be as real as possible on your social media platforms. Be as real as possible. Be as real as possible about what you're doing, what you're passionate about, what you want to speak about, and use it for good things, y'all. Use it for good things. Um,
Yeah. They lucky I'm not super petty. Like I'm petty in my own little different way. Like I'll block you. Like, but if I was petty, like exposing people, what? What?
and that's
Man, come
yeah.
on.
and and that comes with like just like age and like experience and the type, and that speaks to the kind of person that you are. But some people are not like that. Some people will see a post like that and be like, no, this is what I know about this person. I'm gonna make my own separate post and I'm gonna tag you. And
Yeah.
then I'm gonna let everybody know. Like, some people will do all of that. And y'all putting too much trust into these platforms. Y'all putting way too much trust into these platforms. But yeah, sorry, I had a little moment because, man, that's crazy. That's real crazy.
She just said no, because you exposed a couple of people. Let's not forget. Hey, no, yo. I'm talking about really exposed people. I probably dragged a couple people because they wasn't doing right. But I mean like really exposed people, like, yo, like what you see is really not what it is behind that curtain. Like that's what I'm talking about. Yo, like let's not forget. It's
Yeah, Miss
crazy.
Josie don't be saying names, y'all. She just be she just be saying certain situations sometimes.
Yeah, and the thing is, y'all just happen to know who the
What
situation
you talking
is.
about?
Like, but yeah, but I rarely will say a name. Like, I would definitely talk about the situation because what I found though with that is that the situation is applicable to so many more people. And even though, yeah, I might have to drag somebody, it helps like 5 or 6 other people,
Yeah.
potentially even more, because now they get to think about that situation in a different perspective. So that's the only reason why I do that, because it's just all like, yo, come on now. Come on now. You doing this
Yeah.
dumb stuff. Imagine how many other people are doing this dumb stuff. But it can be avoided if we just talk about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
you said the ghetto, Miss Joni just sneak this. Man, listen, because if I really put names out there, feelings will really be hurt.
Yeah, man. And then y'all know not to do it. Y'all know not to do whatever she's talking about.
Like this nigga say, yeah, I be connecting the dots. I'm not even ready to lie. And yo, yeah, you can connect all them dots, man. I'm trying to tell you, I those all the dots. Won't ever say a name.
Be performing full-on investigations from your story sometimes.
Right?
I'm gonna let you know that they be calling me sometimes like, Miss No, you know who she talking about? I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about that.
It's crazy because it's so much I can say right now and put out there right now, but I'm like, nah, yo, like we really need to be focused. But like, yo, some of this stuff, it just shouldn't even be legal, yo. Like if you burning 3, 4, 5 people, you know what? Let me shut up, y'all. I'm shutting up.
How did we get there?
because we talking about people doing crap, stupid crap that other people can learn from. Yeah. Like, yo, you getting burnt over and over again. Like, yo, leave the stove alone. Why do somebody gotta like stop putting your hand on the stove? If it's hot and it's burning you, I'm just saying, yo, like
not the stove. All right, cut it. Cut it.
Cause yo, I could go on and on and on about different stuff, yo. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Move side. It's okay.
I'm move side. I'm calm. I'm just saying, like, it's just ridiculous. And it ain't right, right? Yo, do better. You got talent. You got potential. You got opportunity. At this point, man, success is optional. Yeah. And it's just sad that some people aren't choosing the option. And I'm not saying that we for everybody, because we definitely not for everybody, but it's something somewhere for everybody. And like the best thing you can, man, listen.
Go ahead and finish the sentence. The best thing you can do is,
yo, is set yourself up, yo, for a future where you ain't gonna be struggling. And you ain't gonna be broke and poor with your hand out, yo, where you can really take care of yourself and take care of the family, because man, these kids don't ask to be born into this mess, yo. Like some people is not fit to be parents, not right now. Like you can wait, that can wait. Stop messing up somebody else's life because you don't know what to do with yourself. It's crazy.
All right,
keep going, but I'm gonna stop.
Sega and Jordan, y'all go ahead and y'all hop on here, okay? Sega and Jordan, please come to us out of the screen, please. They're gonna talk about different pressures that they face.
Yes, come on, y'all.
They overcome it. Thank you. You better go ahead and click that link. Come on, stop commenting now. Go ahead and cop on here. Wow. Just a moment of silence.
Yes, moment of silence.
What are we supposed to do?
For all the bums that's going to trickle off. Say, yo.
We really had a moment of silence just now. No. I wish these people would stop making my phone.
Sticker.
Why do I never can hear?
Hey, Joy.
We can hear y'all.
Hey.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, Jordan.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Jordan. You can hear us and see us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right, y'all. So just in this whole like pressure conversation, can y'all each talk about kind of something that you may be dealing with or something that you dealt with where you dealt with some type of pressure and kind of like how you deal with it and or how you overcame it?
Jordan, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I want to talk about like pressure in the friendship like aspect because I've dealt with that a lot. So I've had a lot of friends who kind of like at least at the time where I didn't really know how to deal with pressure, I had a lot of friends who were pressuring me and constantly, like, I guess, persuading me into things that I wasn't really keen on. And so I think over time, like, I started to realize that, like, I need to, first of all, I needed to definitely gain some backbone, because, like, I just did not know how to say no to things. I didn't know how to say no. I would always say yes. And so I think over time, like, I realized that I gotta say no. Like, sometimes it's not always about saying yes. I really gotta say no at times. And so I realized that, like, on top of that, like, there are people who just won't get it. There are people who will be like, oh, why you feel this way? Like, it's not that deep. Like, why are you thinking like this? I'm like, I have to realize that some people just won't get it. And the people who don't get it, it's not really worth your time. Like, it's genuinely not worth your time. And so I feel like the people who will get it are the people who are definitely, like, understanding, people who are genuinely your friend, because they will understand if they are your friend. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, I agree. Well, the way I dealt with pressure was, it was more academically wise. So I'm gonna just, like, wrap it up. Like, I'm gonna summarize the situation. So basically, I was like, I came to a county middle school, coming from a city elementary school for 4 years. And I came to the county. So when I came to the county, I never knew you had, like, advanced classes more than, like, average classes. So I was more in the advanced classes on math, but I did not know, they just placed me there. So when I went to 6th grade, we had, like, GT classes from standards. So they put me in a GT class. And my thing is, I'm never good with, like, exams and tests. I'm always good on classwork and homework. So one time, this man, the teacher, he gave me a test and I got a 40 on it. And he was like, he sent a paper home, told me, to, like, tell my mom, like, she cannot be in this class. I need you to sign this paper so she can get out of the class, which I felt kind of was pressure, because I felt like he was telling me what I can do, what I can't do, which I feel like was a type of racism part, because he never did that to anybody else. And of course, I was the only Black child in the class. And I felt like he was pushing me out, but I know I can do better than what he was saying. So my mom was like, I'm not signing this. And the way he wrote it was, like, as in highlighting, as in my mother couldn't read, or, like, she didn't have no type of knowledge. But little do people know that my mom works in the school system. So she would go back and forth and, like, I work in the school system. This is not proper. This is not proper. This is not how, this is not the policy. So they will always go back and forth until he realized that my mom doesn't really play about when it comes to education or racism or her child or disrespect. So that was kind of pressure, because I felt like, wow, like, you're pressuring me to leave in a class that I know I can do better in just because of one exam. So that was my kind of pressure part.
Amazing.
That is really crazy. And, like, earlier, I don't know, I kind of breezed over it, but earlier, if I don't know if y'all heard me mention, like, that kind of, like, cultural kind of race aspects that definitely plays a part in some of this pressure. I'm definitely not gonna get too much into it, because it can be controversial, but it's also a thing that happens. Like, let's be real, right? A lot of heartbeats, if not all heartbeats, are Black and brown heartbeats. A lot of mentors are Black and brown, and we have certain things that we have to face, unfortunately, that our lighter counterparts may not have to. Lighter and whiter counterparts may not have to kind of to deal with. So I've also dealt with, like, kind of that racism aspect when it comes to schooling, and that's not fun. That's especially if if you're younger, especially if you're like 9, 8, 10, you just see the teacher is telling you that you're not smart. You don't see, the teacher, telling, doing this because of a bias that they may have, or doing this because they don't believe that Black and brown children are as smart as other kids. Like, you don't see that. As the 9-year-old, all you see is, oh, I'm not smart. So then you tell yourself, oh, I'm not smart. Luckily, you had Miss England. Luckily, you had a mother who recognized that kind of thing and was like, no, you're not going to do this to my child. But a lot of us are not that lucky. And a lot of us don't kind of have that support behind us where they can identify it and kind of call it out. So Ooh, that is definitely a thing. Jordan, kind of going back to what you were talking about, what did you use to kind of develop that backbone? Like, what was kind of that turning point for you where you felt like you were like, okay, no, this is a lot. I have to be stronger in my decisions.
Yeah, so it took a lot of self-confidence because like me having depression, like that's a little hard for me to gain that like inner confidence. So it's like it took not just that, but like others around me. So family members, friends, and like everyone else in HeartSmiles who kind of, like supported me and like kind of kept me on my feet because like I think I needed that for a while. I think I needed someone to kind of like boost my spirits and like know that like, hey, like it's gonna be okay. Like not everything is gonna go as well as you would hope, but it's gonna be okay. So it's like, yeah, it took that. And going back to the inner confidence, like I just had to like have a personal talk with myself and like realize like, is this something that I really want to have happen with me? Like, is this really something that I want my life to be? Like, I genuinely wanted to make it out. I just didn't know how. Really have to realize that I have to have some confidence, or else I'm not gonna really take the time to actually do anything about it.
Cool. So basically, if I'm understanding correctly, so like that's having that support system around you kind of helped and aided in building your confidence into a place where you felt like you could have kind of that backbone to be like, no.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're saying. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. Stinker, is Corey gonna be joining us on today? So take yourself off mute.
Yeah, no, I had to mute them because they was just doing that absolute noise in the background. So I was like, let me push mute on them.
I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Okay, y'all.
Okay, all right, Corey. So can you share a time where you felt pressure? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, where you felt pressure and kind of how you came out of that or how you overcame that. Yeah.
On my father's side,
yelling.
I'm sorry. I'm a bang. Go. I'm sorry. You see when I was on my father's side of the family, like I was like kind of the only good child because like all my brothers and sisters, they was like going to jail, getting pregnant, and all that stuff. And it was just like with my father, he always expected me to always be the one to succeed and always do this and the third. So it was like when I didn't go to college, but when I graduated from high school, it was like a big step for me because it was like everybody was celebrating and everything. And then it was just like, all right, so what you gonna do next, Corey? And it was just like the pressure of me not going to college and just decided to just work. At the time, it was just a lot, but like I had to realize that I had to live for me and not for him. So it caused a lot of arguments between our relationship and stuff, but I had to realize that like a lot of things that he wanted for me was good, but at the same time, he was putting a toll on my body and my mental. So it was just like I had to like, get out! Mommy, we ain't going to my mom. We had a conversation with her.
Wow.
Come back, Corey. Get finished.
Wow. The ghetto. I'm sorry, y'all.
Get finished, Corey. We are so sorry. I'm so sorry. Get finished, Corey. But I had to realize that like I'm 20, I'm gonna turn 22. Like I have to realize and separate. Like I understand you're my parent and I'm gonna respect you, but at the same time I'm not gonna allow you to like make the steps or make the decisions with me when I pay my own bills. So it's just like I had to realize the realization that like I gotta live my life and like I had to set a boundary between us where so like certain things you can't have a perspective on if you're not gonna be respectful to say those things. So it was just like
yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, like those family pressures are very, 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 very real. And I mean, I can talk a little bit about mine. Some of the pressures kind of that I created for myself, but some of the pressures that kind of exist. Because there was definitely, and still some of the aspects of my life, there was definitely a point where, I was doing certain things because I wanted to impress my parents, or I was doing certain things because I wanted to impress my family. And that goes from like academic wise. So taking certain classes that I didn't necessarily want to take, but because I felt like I had to take. So doing that, and then like choosing my major. I don't know if y'all kind of knew this, but when I first went to school, I was a biology major. And that's because I thought that I had to be a doctor, or I had to be some type of what is considered like a high profile job, in order to like be successful, in order to maintain that kind of like, that good child status, but also that successful child status. Um, and I was in biology, y'all. I failed miserably as far as like my classes, and as far as just like what I was going through, as far as like moving away from home, and then like in this big school in this big city. And I was definitely struggling like in more ways than one. And I had to like have a conversation with myself, and I had to stop, and I had to be like, Morgan, do you even like this? Like, scratch even, do you love it? Like, do you like it? And then do you love it? And both of the answers to those questions were no. And it wasn't because I couldn't do it, because if I was passionate about it, absolutely I could have passed those classes. Absolutely I could have, pursued that if I wanted it, but I didn't want it. So then I had to make a decision for myself, and luckily that was early, where I was like, oh, I have to, do something that I love and do something that I'm passionate about, because if I continue to live for other people, if I continue to live up to other people's expectations, I'm never going to live a fulfilled life. So you kind of have to have those conversations with yourself a lot of times, as far as like, who are you living for? If the answer is not yourself, if the answer is not for a greater purpose than yourself, reevaluate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can y'all answer this question, Stinker and Jordan from Lene? This is a great question. What about those pressures wasn't said but was shown through your actions?
Mm.
Like that's a great question.
That's a powerful question.
I'm trying to like break it down in my head. So, isn't she trying to say somebody trying to persuade you through their actions? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, so like you going through this pressure, right? And you're not necessarily saying anything yet, but you doing things. Like, what was some of those things that you were doing? So like a good example would be how some people do like passive aggressive things. So like they might not like a person, but instead of just saying, look, I don't like you, they're gonna walk into a room and not speak.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
Mm-hmm. So that way you kind of get the hint that, that person don't like me, but you ain't really been 100 about it and said it.
Right. I feel as though that's never like, I feel like doing actions is like way worse than words. For me, I feel like words is always key, especially when it comes to communication. But if they're doing it through actions, I would say ask them like why, because you never know why until they say something. Or you should start with, I feel like you're doing da 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 da, because if you always put yourself first, they will feel as though like they're hurting you, not as for they're doing it for themselves. I feel as though if you don't have communication, then you don't have anything, because words are way louder than actions. I don't, that's how I feel. So if you don't use your words and you're more on actions, then it feels though they like, it's weird to me. Like, I just feel like if you come in the room and don't speak, like that's fake. That's real fake. I need you to use your words. I don't care if you say hi or how you doing. It's just a simple like words is way better than actions to me. That's just how I feel.
That's crazy. I don't really get along with people like that. I'm not saying there's nothing bad, but like, I need you to go off on my actions. A prime example, my friends. Mm-hmm. I got several friends who be mad at me because I don't say that I love them. But I'm like, yo, do my actions show you that I love you? Yeah. Okay, then that's all you need. Like, I'm not about to do that with the whole words thing. I mean, sometimes I do, but it's not on a regular basis. Like, I will never initiate it. But like, that's just crazy that you would say that, because that's like the exact opposite of how I live. Like, no, I rather actions. You ain't never got to say nothing to me ever. I need to see what you do.
Well, it kind of also depends on the situation. If it's a situation in a relationship with a person, but to me, if I don't know you, then I'm gonna use words. I'm gonna just say words.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, piggyback off of what you said, like I'm kind of the same way. Like, especially when someone's like I guess not happy when I don't say that I love them, because like I'm agreeing with that, because like I show it a lot in my actions. Like sometimes I may say it here and there, but for the most part, I show it in my actions. And so it's like, if someone's like not okay with me not saying it, like I'm like, do you want me to say it 24/7? Like, I don't know, because like I feel as though as long as you're showing it in your actions, like that should also be enough to be like, to understand that this person loves you. And if like you don't agree with that, then it's like, that's probably a problem with you.
Yeah.
I just feel like, okay, I definitely get like showing it in your actions. But like if the person likes for you to tell them a certain thing, like every now and then, I just feel like it's like give and take, like it's a compromise, right? I'm not saying like, because that's just the type of person I am. Like I would prefer to hear it and see it, but that's not for everybody, and I get that. And sometimes it's a compromise with it. So sometimes maybe, in certain situations, I'm gonna have to step back and just accept that person for who they are. But sometimes like it's going to your point, like if I don't really, depending on whatever it is that we're trying to communicate, if I don't really bang with you like that, like you're gonna have to tell me, because I may not know. So yeah, I guess I get both sides. I definitely get both sides. You got to know, I guess, the dynamics of your friendships and your relationships, and kind of just know the type of people that people are. So
yeah, Miss England talked about those love languages in the session before Rona shut us down. So maybe that might be a conversation topic, like love languages and all that stuff.
Yeah, because it's definitely different ones out here, man. Definitely different ones out here. So
yeah, I like what Cam said. Cam said, actions are supposed to speak louder than words, but words clarify more. Yeah, I like that.
Words supplement. So if you are doing the thing, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So man, we only got like 3 minutes or so left. What jewels y'all leaving us with? This time be going by.
It do be going by fast. I was waiting for somebody going to ask me, like, when we'll stop.
No, we done asking you. We about to send you back to Stop, Shout, and Sing.
Here you go. What I would say is, if you feel like you're being pressured into something, you should definitely worry about yourself and how you feel about being pressured in that type of situation. I feel it's always like you always have to start with yourself instead of going to that person that's pressuring you. And like Jordan said, you always got to find yourself before you find anybody, a relationship with anybody else. So that's what I say.
Yeah, that's a heavy jewel. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also like, definitely, yeah, I guess clarify your words, because like some people just won't understand. Like sometimes you gotta really like let them know, like, hey, like I'm feeling a certain way. I don't really feel like talk to you right now. I would appreciate it if you leave me alone. You don't have to be rude about it. Just be casual about it.
Yeah. And I feel like also if they don't really care about your feelings, then they're not your friend. Like that shows a lot. If they don't care about yourself being or you, they're not your friends. They're not your real friends. They're associates. So you don't gotta owe them no type of loyalty. So don't feel bad.
Yeah. I love it. Miss Mo, what you got for us?
Mine is just don't let pressure overwhelm your life. And don't let it stop you from fulfilling your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, we had a great session today. Like all day was great. I'm excited about tomorrow because tomorrow we got one of my favorites, Principal Miller from Matthew A. Henson Elementary, and he gonna be talking about leadership and achieving your goals and all that good stuff. So especially if you are interested like in that type of career path, like in the school system, principal, vice principal, teacher, all that, that's definitely the conversation you want to be on. And even if, you know, you just want to really talk about, you know, like how do you achieve big goals and things like that, that's the conversation you want to be on. Next week gonna be a banger. Did I tell y'all we got Paula Campbell coming back?
Again? No, you mean tell us that.
Yes, y'all. Paula is going to talk to us on Monday about all things music and life. So music kids got to be on. Tuesday, we got Dallas. I told y'all he worked with big names, people like Drake, Rick Ross, all that, Mills, all that. He gonna be talking music, probably give us a tour of the studio, all that stuff. And I'm working on getting a city council person too. So if y'all interested in city council politics and all that stuff like that, like it's about to really be a banger. It's about to really be a banger. And we got, what's my lady name? Miss Lisa. She worked with kids who are impacted by trauma. So like a lot of her kids, like their parents got killed, or siblings got killed, or something like that. Like they've experienced extreme trauma. So so she's going to be on talking with us. And then Miss Robin is coming. I know we started the money talk with Miss Simone, but Miss Robin, she gonna make sure y'all. She's a financial strategist. She's an accountant. Like she's sending her son through college out her pocket. Like she pay his tuition cash. That's how much of a beast she is when it comes to budgeting, money, and all that stuff. Like that's all she do. She is that's all she do. So I asked her to bring like some sample budget sheets so y'all can actually see what the budget sheet looks like and really just kind of walk you through so that way you can feel confident in your financial health. So, yeah, I'm super excited, y'all. The lineup just keep getting better and better. I appreciate y'all. Today is the last session for the day. So, yeah, y'all got the rest of the day. So, y'all stop until we come back at 6 with Miss England for Winning Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, all about it.
What's today?
When? Did you just ask what's today?
Listen, all the days are blurring together. I cannot. I'm so sorry.
Y'all crazy. I never thought I would be one of those thank God it's Friday people, but I'm one of them people now. Because at least on Saturday and Sunday, I know I ain't got to get on live or nothing like that. Like I'm still working. I'm a TGIF person now. I used to never be like that. To me, it didn't matter because I was working every day. Now, this is a different kind of work.
Listen. Thank you, Stinka. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Corey, for contributing to today's session.
Yeah, I'll use all this kind of thing.
I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. So
yeah, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, y'all. Tell a friend to tell a friend, y'all. Success Sessions. I'll see y'all later.
See you. Love y'all.
Bye. Bye.